Gary? Some serious gourmet shit. What flavor is this? That's right, it's the all-hell medium roast private blend. Check out the Geek Grind Coffee Nerdrotic page for our other options like the Decadence, Feathers of Liberty, vanilla-infused flavored coffee. Or if you're looking for something darker, try the Dark Roast FNT blend of the Fellowship. You know what? Just buy all three. GeekGrindCoffee.com. Use discount code Nerdrotic.
I hunted, Rob. I hunted for Tobey Maguire's dick.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Wait. I've got an idea.
My mind is a raging torrent, flooded with rivulets of thought, cascading into a waterfall of creative alternatives.
God darn it, Mr. Lamar. You use your tongue prettier than a $20 whore.
Nerdrotic.com.
Thanks for saving me there, X-Ray Girl, because I was like, oh shit, mute.
No way.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, sorry it's a little late.
It's all good. You weren't.
I'm sure you've heard the news. It's raining in Los Angeles, which is a disaster because no one knows how to drive in the rain.
My fellow people.
I don't miss that at all. I saw that big El Nino thing is coming right before we left. I'm like, it's going to be a disaster here. Get me out of here now.
Oh, really? Is El Nino here? I love it.
Yeah, it's El Nino. You're going to get rained on all year. All effing year.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's raining like hell here, and I love it. I love it too. That's your Nerdrotic weather report. Thank you for tuning in. Hope it's lovely in your area. This is the Nerdrotic Nooner, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Chris and I wanted to wear blue today for some reason. You know,
coordinated.
We did. I'm repping some Buc-ee's, some free advertising. Buc-ee's is
Beaver. You have a kitty.
I got a beaver.
Yeah,
well, we both have. Well, I have a beaver and you have a pussy.
We all have. I feel like I should go wear an animal shirt now to match.
Yeah, it's a cat holding a lightsaber because on Temu.
Because the Force is female, and they've taken away all the men's dicks.
Yeah. And now the Force is pussy. If you're looking at my shirt,
beaver, pussy. There you go.
And Ripaverse. So there you go.
And Ripaverse.
One of these things is not like the other.
That's true.
Yeah.
I got a comic in the mail today, so we will show that off in just a moment. Very excited. Haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I will read it soon.
It's Amazing Fantasy number 14.
Yes.
What was? I'm curious. Like, what was on Detective Comics number 26? You know what I mean? Like, everyone knows the numbers of the important.
What
were the ones that came directly before?
They reprinted Detective Comics number 1. My son bought it, and it's got some Chinese,
They're racist, right? Like super
like Chinese guy.
Yeah.
Some Fu Manchu on the cover. I don't know. I know Marvel continued it much later when I have my shop. They did Amazing Fantasy 16 and 17, and I don't know. Yeah. There's a backup story in Amazing Fantasy 15 as well. So.
Wow. No, I would just love to see, because I love comic historian stuff. I love watching that on YouTube or going to panels like that, and to learn like what the issues were that were before and what made the editors go, I don't know, Spider-Man, and they just throw it at the wall, and Stanley has a weird idea, and they just do it. And
yeah,
then,
he thought of a fly first. He was looking at a fly,
Right.
and that turned into a spider. And like, yeah, it's like J.K. Rowling talked about this too. Like Harry Potter just popped up in her head one day. So it wasn't like Tolkien who was like through escapism, and maybe he was channeled. I don't know. Maybe there's some kind of record out there, and all the stories that have ever been told actually happened in the multiverse. This is from my acid dropping days, okay? And people are just drawing on what actually happened in some part of the universe. Who knows? But yeah, Stan was and Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and Larry Lieber were able to just pump out creations that they were like, yeah, I was just looking at a fly one day, and Flyman didn't work, so I wanted to be Spider-Man. And then Steve Ditko, designs this great costume. And I love Steve Ditko, but may he rest in peace. Dude was a proper curmudgeon, but like really could have sold out and didn't, and didn't like pictures, like true recluse. I appreciate that. Wouldn't make it in today's society. Because if you're a recluse and you don't like your picture taken and you don't like to get on the internet and argue, it makes it hard to argue your point. Now, you know what? And we're going to talk a little bit. That's actually segue into something. Not that I'm a total defendant of Ike Perlmutter, but Ike Perlmutter doesn't go to social media. He's only had, I think he's had one picture taken in 30 years. Like he is incredibly private, self-made guy, by the way, that they crap on in this book. They crap on how cheap the guy was because he grew up freaking poor as dirt, fought in a war, came over to America and became a billionaire from scratch, like not from old money, became a billionaire. Yeah, he might have been kind of a curmudgeon and a dick, but they really reinforce a lot of bullshit in this book. There are some like good juicy details, but a lot of it is a reinforcement of the Disney narrative, of the Kevin Feige narrative, and I largely feel like this is just a fluff piece on Feige because he skirts a lot of criticism that he deserves, especially in light of like how long he's been in charge, like fully in charge of Marvel, which is only since 2019. Okay, so he became in charge of Marvel Studios right around Civil War. But if you map out the more control Kevin Feige gets, the worse the MCU gets.
So I totally suspected that book. No one's going to put out a book like that and have it be like, this scathing thing. I mean, some things that some things are going to leak for sure in it, but I knew that book was going to be fluff. Back to what you were saying earlier about tapping in. Just to throw out, I've always loved David Lynch as a filmmaker.
Yep.
Always loved his bizarre creativity. He wrote a book called Catching the Big Fish. The entire book is about ideas and where ideas come from, and that ideas can kind of be in the zeitgeist, which is why you get people coming up with the same idea at the same time. They're just kind of out there. So it's how to harness those ideas through dreams and transcendental meditation. It's a great book, Catching the Big Fish, David Lynch. Like what you were talking about earlier, this is why I'm getting obsessed with Forbidden Frontiers. Like it's all these ideas that they're just sort of out there and anyone can utilize them or harness them, and in good ways and bad ways. So I believe that like they were in like a jam, like somehow they were channeling something in the 60s at Marvel with all the creative talent there. It just, I mean, it's incredible when you look at that, and they've never recaptured it.
No.
I mean, they've had good eras. They've had really good eras or
sure.
good, but like that era of creativity, the fact that all those stories resonate to today and those characters are still with us, and the new stuff that's being created does not resonate. It doesn't resonate. It doesn't grab people.
No. Imagine the great stories they can tell right now with Iron Man, but they can't because they killed him off. They fucking morons.
Yeah.
It's just idiots. Oh, well. But we will get to that. And yes, I transcendental meditation, but I can never do that. I'll fall asleep every time. But
Right.
there are other forms of it you can get into. You can get lost in music. You can get ideas from listening to music. You can get ideas at the gym. People say at the shower, but one of the things I do at the gym is I just like get lost in my head. I don't care what's going on around me. I don't even know people are there, to be honest with you. I get so like hyper focused. That's where my best ideas come from. And that's where I just kind of chill.
Or like lucid dreaming. You know about lucid dreaming? One of the things they say that can help you induce lucid dreaming is eating chocolate before you go to bed. And I've noticed that my dreams are more intense if I have chocolate before going to bed. And then also like the other thing, when I've written books,
well, chocolate will give you energy. So if you're going to sleep, but your brain is still functioning a little bit.
That's possible. Yeah. But one of the things, like when I've written books, nobody reads them anymore, unfortunately. Not as much as they used to. Audiobooks are hugely popular. But so when I would write books, I would get up at like 5 a.m., write for 3 hours, and be done at 8 a.m. And you're kind of half asleep, but half awake. And you think you're just channeling and not thinking as much.
Yep.
So,
it's a fine line. It's a fine line because, I can drink a full cup of coffee sometimes and just knock right out.
Right.
Right. Like it just doesn't affect me.
That's crazy.
Well, it's part of the true ADHD, whatever they want to label it, hyperactive. I don't care. I think most people have it. So I wouldn't necessarily call it a condition, but with some people like me, stuff like that will have reverse effect. So caffeine, speed will have a reverse, like a calming effect. So, yeah, that's just the way it is. Hello. Hang on.
People.
Excellent.
Okay, hello. I have been listening to the Britney Spears audiobook.
Who reads it?
Pardon?
Does Britney read it?
No, I know. It's very disappointing, but I have a theory that she can't read. So, you never know. Like, the girl doesn't really need to work. If she set her investments right, she's pretty much set for the rest of her life. But it is very interesting. It kind of made me want to go back and listen to Britney Spears again.
It's probably a tragic tale, like a lot of this stuff is.
Yeah, and she did want to become a star, but I don't think she had a good system from even when she was young with her family. So it's very unfortunate. So,
are you going to do a video on her book so I don't have to read it?
You should.
No, I was just gonna read it and put it down after.
Please do a video,
dude.
First of all,
Everything's content.
Okay,
X-ray
fine.
girl.
I will maybe do a chat on poor choices about it.
There you go. There you go.
I mean, she's made lots of poor choices.
Yep.
True.
So have I.
I feel like I can't make it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to judge her. Poor thing. I just remember when the media was all over her, man. She was their punching bag. It was, yeah. And these are the trusted sources now.
Yeah. She got a lot of hate. A lot of hate.
Yep. So, what is there to talk about today? Well, Disney is absolutely falling apart. Like, it's right before our eyes. And Chuck Dixon came on our show, came on Real BBC about 6 months ago, I think, and said it best. When he said, when the bottom drops out, he was speaking specifically of Marvel, of the MCU and superhero films. When the bottom drops out, it's going to drop fast. What? And, the Marvels is coming up. It's projected to flop. I think it's going to, I think the numbers are too high. I personally think the numbers are too high.
I agree. I think that it's a way overestimate. I think it's optimistic at best. And I don't know if you've been keeping up with Five Nights at Freddy's, which I'll be seeing tomorrow. That's tracking very well. It's Halloween.
It's Halloween. It's coming out at the right time. It's a game my kid loved.
Right.
Just Chuck E. Cheese in hell. Like,
right.
And is it Blumhouse? Are they doing it?
I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, it's a simple premise. It's also was done before twice, There was the movie Willy's Wonderland with Nick Cage where he has no lines in the movie, which is really good. And there's another one I forget, but I mean, whatever. Simple premise. I love it. It's Halloween.
Yeah,
couldn't be better timing.
I think these films are going to do just fine. I am looking for the article of the Marvel's review embargo.
Oh yeah. So by the way, by now I would have been invited to a screening because I am on their list. I have not been invited to a screening yet. And my guess is it's going to be either the Monday or the Wednesday before it opens. I already purchased tickets to see it on that Thursday. So I'm very curious. And the more they show, have you seen some of the recent like TV clips where they show more of the movie?
No.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at a promotional picture in just a moment.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Dude, this is the worst idea ever. And I knew, and like, you know, this went into production years ago. So they're basing it off of like the hysteria. That was Me Too. It was fucking hysteria. It was hysteria. And it was also used as a tool to gain power, a tool to get rid of your enemies. It was a tool for the opportunistic, which, quite frankly, Hollywood is swimming with sharks. You ever see Swimming with Sharks? Great movie, dude. Even with Kevin Spacey. Fucking great movie. Hollywood is a bunch of opportunistic sharks. The vast majority of the decision-making people, the producers, the bankers, the agents. These are all hangers-ons. They're not good for art or creativity. They're there to just suck people dry and move on. And you know what? Other artists do that too. All that solidarity you saw with the writers and actors. Man, they'll plunge a knife in each other's back at a moment's notice. So much for all that shit. It's just a bunch of bullshit. It's always been a bunch of bullshit. But you want to share that real quick?
Yes.
It's a foul little town. And when it comes to the Marvels, the social media embargo for the so remember, the Marvels comes out on the 9th, not the 10th, but the 9th. That's the preview day. Screenings start, I believe, at 3:00 in most places. They aren't doing any special early screenings. The review embargo ends for social media, which is basically just going, I like it, I didn't like it, you know, like not giving any details at all, on November 7th at 12 Eastern. Review embargo lifts the next morning on November 8th. So that's a day before it comes out. That's bad. That's bad. I can't see that. I can't see it being very good. I can't see it doing very well. I think if even Deadline comes out and starts talking about the low box office, I think it's probably going to be lower. Hey, there's the Salty Nerd Podcast. What's up? The Marvel's review bombing held back until the day before release inevitably launches in the latest never-ending line of conspiracies. Some movies just can't get a break. Well, if they're shitty movies, they don't deserve one. Sorry. I'm not sorry. You know, if you made a movie if you made a movie based completely on identity, like prioritizing that, like we need to make not only a female-led superhero movie, but she needs to be supported, this white woman, by two women of color, so we can say we have the first all-female superhero team, and it will be the first one that flops this hard. So well done. I wonder how much that actually helps your cause. And there's no story. You've got Me Too, the female accuser, which is supposed to be female Ronin. They even have her like slapping the hammer. It's with her wristband. So she gets one of the wristbands. I guess the other wristband, because Miss Marvel got her powers from Grandma sending her a wristband. Oh, you don't know that because you didn't watch the series. You didn't watch the series. Well, to be fair, I didn't finish it.
I didn't finish it either.
Yeah.
I watched the first few episodes and I was checked out.
I'm like, last time I checked, which is just this morning, I'm not a 12-year-old girl, so I don't care about this. And it was it was just pure identity politics. Of course, nobody wants to root for a brown Muslim girl, whatever. That's the same fucking line from Sana Amanat, the Miss Marvel's self-inserted creator. Right. And then, of course, we have Photon, whatever she's going to be called, Monica Rambeau from WandaVision, whose origin was my favorite, Chris. She walked through a barrier getting positively affirmed, and she became a superhero.
Yeah, I saw that. That was kind of laughable.
And when she was, I'm going to paraphrase how she was describing the powers in that one Marvel's trailer. She's all, Captain Marvel can manipulate light, and Miss Marvel can manifest objects out of light, and I can see light. It's like, so can I.
I do think it's really important to ground, like, for the audience to believe some fantastical elements of any story. This applies to Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Star Trek, whatever. You at least have to have it explained in a way that makes sense, right? None of what is said there about the light powers. Well, what are the powers? I mean, we understand Superman can fly because Krypton is a very different planet than Earth. And yes, it's all fantasy, but the explanation makes sense. What does seeing light mean?
I don't know.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're wondering why that headline made no sense, it's from We Got This Covered. So yeah, that's AI written gobbledygook bullshit. But it's not tracking so well at all. So this one came across too. We got to here. I'm gonna put this link in there. It's about Secret Invasion. All right, so it's no secret Marvel is like falling on its ass. We're gonna get to a little bit. I'm gonna talk a little bit about this book, not a lot of bit, but a little bit about like what it didn't talk about and what it did talk about. I think the most enlightening thing was Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige has become Kathleen Kennedy. I said that many years ago. I said it 3 years ago, and it's true. But there's a legit reason why. There's a legit reason why. And yes, the message is involved, agenda is involved, but there's also bit of Icarus, a little flying too close to the sun. A little bit of flying too close to the sun. It erupted. Marvel Insider exposes Secret Invasions behind-the-scenes drama. Amidst reports of Marvel Studios off-screen drama, MCU fans are now learning what went wrong with Secret Invasion. Well, they shouldn't have made it. You're adapting a comic book that was filled with superheroes, and your first decision was, hey, let's take out all the superheroes. That's a great idea. Like, the whole premise of Secret Invasion, the comic, was like, who do you trust? Because you don't know if your buddy was a Skrull the whole time, right? Did some Elektra retconning in there, and they did all kinds of stuff. But it was an all right story. It was fine. It was fine. No annihilation, that's for sure. Despite being Marvel's first crossover event series, it wasn't. Its compelling comic book inspiration and all-star cast led Samuel L. Jackson's Secret Invasion was found to be directionless, confusing, and wasteful with characters, becoming the first MCU project to receive a rotten score from both audiences and critics. Well, I will say, Chris, long overdue. There are a few MCU projects that were kept from getting, well, we're talking rotten on the critics side. Were kept from that through the army of shills. The army of shills. And these shills weren't paid off like directly, right, Chris? It's worse than that. Like, I'd understand that. I wouldn't do it, but I'd understand financial gain. No, this is just for clout. They shilled for the possibility of clout. Some of them got it, some of them didn't. Then they got mad. They'd say things like, I've been busting my ass for 5 years being a Star Wars fan. Like you're going to the fucking salt mines. Well, it kind of is watching Star Wars now. I'd rather go to the salt mines.
I know the reference, It's such a weird statement. Like I don't even consider what I do. Like I'm not busting my ass. I mean, I'm very dedicated and like to my work. I take it seriously, but this is easy. I've had hard jobs. I've worked in factories in Detroit. Like I worked at Burger King, the late night shift, making burgers until you get out at 5 a.m. smelling like grease. I remember like, so I've had jobs that I hated. The reason I say this is I just saw a video. I don't know if you follow Odin's Men, and he was talking about.
I watched this one this morning. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So you watch that where the girl talks about a 9-to-5 job is like slavery. And I'm like, that's just a job. And I've had jobs like that. And like, yeah, you know, it pushes you to aspire for more. Or was that other recent video of the woman who she's a graduate, but she's like works at a sushi restaurant making a lot of money, but she refuses to like work entry level. It's like, that's just every
College
job.
was the experience. No, it wasn't. College is not your experience. As a matter of fact, at this point, I think it's detrimental to experience. So I wouldn't go. I think it's a giant waste of money. Work your way up. I mean, one of the messages in this MCU book is both Kevin Feige and Ike Perlmutter and Avi Arad all worked their way up. Kevin Feige, far more privileged. Avi Arad, again, fought in the war with Ike Perlmutter, and they both came from Israel with nothing, right? So, but Kevin Feige, like, worked his way up. You know, it takes decades to do that. And, I mean, yes, it's this generation. Yes, it's the parents, largely Gen Xers. My generation. And it's also, you know, COVID and the COVID response fucked up a generation of kids just beyond it's going to take a lot of work to fix it. It's going to take a lot of work. And you can't really blame the kids especially when they're super young and their world just gets ripped out from under them so young, right? And they're not going back to school in some cases for 2 years, like in California. Yeah, that's going to jack up a lot of kids. Thanks to the adults' response to a cold, to an effing cold. Ruined a lot of lives. A lot of lives. But back to Marvel. No, you're right. It's the so many people in our space, so many people who owned comic shops, like that's all they did. And that's cool. That man, like, what a great life you got to live. If all you rolled out of college or whatever, and you got to be an online commentator, or you got to own a comic shop, or go direct to Hollywood, fucking rad. Good for you. Be grateful about it. A lot of them aren't. But they also don't have a perspective of the working man and woman out there who does 40 hours a week, 50, 60 hours a week of work, gets up 5 a.m, gets home at 8 o'clock at night, feeds the kids, all that shit. They have no concept of it. And that's that, like Odin said, that's life. It doesn't get easier.
Right. Yeah.
But it does. I disagree with them there. I say it does. Once you get used to it and you sack up a little bit, it actually does get a lot easier.
It does get easier, but that's the whole point, is to kind of get to that level. And then if you can handle this, then you can handle bigger and bigger challenges. Because I will say this, that mostly everyone that I've experienced, because we'll hire interns every once in a while, and they're kind of worthless. It's like babysitting. And look, I'm a college dropout. I paid for my college. My parents at the time were arguing. They were divorced, arguing over who should pay for my college, and I paid for my college. So I was working a restaurant job on the weekend, washing dishes. I worked at a video store, and I still had a newspaper route through college. The newspaper route I had when I was 9 years old, I went all the way through because it was only like an hour and a half a day, 5 days a week. And I walked 12 blocks carrying like 40 pounds of papers on my back, and I had it down to a system, and I could do it quick. And it was like good, reliable cash. Anyways,
because we needed money, and that was the only way to get it. You know?
They cut off your allowance after 18. But anyways, so I dropped out of college. I was so like spread thin between jobs and doing, work, doing my schoolwork, that I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. And I can't pay for it. I dropped out of college, but I didn't stop learning. I just bought books on things. I bought a book on marketing called Marketing Warfare. I bought a book on how to publish a magazine, and it was from the Trade magazine. It's basically the Variety and the Hollywood Reporter for the magazine industry, called Folio, Folio. I don't know if it's still around, but Folio magazine was the trade magazine for the publishing industry. Books
Is that like the Folio Society, or are they different?
I'm not sure, but I bought this book, and it was like $100 book in the 80s. Okay, not cheap.
Damn.
This thick book, How to Publish a Magazine. I read that, and I'm like, I'm just going to learn how to do the things I want to do, and then I'm just going to go do those things.
See, that's the Gen X in you.
And I'm going to make mistakes,
yes,
but I'm just going to do it and not care, because I was so tired of, and also the people in college were kind of annoying. I mean, even back when I was in college, there were the communists. The communists were in school.
Yep.
At my college, this is Wayne State University in Detroit in the 80s. And yes, they were there then. I thought it was sort of laughable. It was like, oh, you're cosplaying as
dude,
a political,
yes.
It was just so, and I was just like, whatever. I'm gonna go work a job. I'm gonna pay for the. I'm gonna build something for myself, and so you can complain and you can push the communist stuff all you want, but I thought it was kind of ridiculous. Now what's scary is these ideas are much more popular and they're damaging. I don't want to go down a political rabbit hole. I'm just telling you my experience going to colleges. I dropped out because I was frustrated that I figured it out. Like, okay, so you're telling me that I give you, I think I was paying like, I don't know, $3-4 grand a semester at Wayne State University. So I'm going to give you this money. You're going to tell me to buy these books. I read the books, regurgitate the contents of the books to you as proof that I have read the book and retained some knowledge, or I can just buy the books.
Or you could just buy the books and go out with this like practical application of your skills.
Exactly. That's what I figured out after about 2.5 years, and I dropped out. I remember it was like this big decision. I'm just like, I'm not getting where I wanted to get. And I wanted to actually go to, I wanted to go to USC, because that's where George Lucas went, right? And like that was like I'm like, I want to go to the film school that George Lucas went to. By the way, the like tuition there was like 10 grand a semester. Now it's it's crazy. So my uncle lived on the West Coast in just outside of San Diego. We went on this big trip to visit my uncle, and I said, I just want to go to the campus of USC. And I bought all the books for the film program. And then I wrote down the list of the books that I couldn't buy. And I read every one of those books that those rich kids were reading going to school. I'm just going to read the same books. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to be able to go to class or get the degree, but I can at least get the same information. And so that was sort of my self-taught. I mean, look, by the way, Quentin Tarantino dropped out of school in the 8th grade. So I got 2.5 years.
Before I did.
Yeah, exactly. That's why Tarantino, if you ever read like a script of his, especially if it's one that he typed, there are tons of spelling errors. It's kind of hysterical. But it
works. It gets out there. People fix it. No, there's this constant cycle of go to college, get in a debt, blah, 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 get your piece of paper and go work for some corporation. That's just not my world. It's not for me. Never been for me. I've worked for corporations. I hated it. Even a good one that treated me pretty well, I still hated it. But that was me. I recognize, Tesla. I'm like, I just can't do this. It was the most uncorporate corporation I've ever worked for, but there were still way too many roles
and then
managers with ponytails.
To hire people later on. Sorry, we're going this quick aside. I'll wrap it up real quick. But like later, when I was in my mid to late 20s, I'm like hiring people at Film Threat back in the day. And I noticed that there was really no correlation between a college graduate and someone with just life experience. There was no correlation with intelligence. Just because you went to college and got the degree didn't mean you were intelligent. And then there were people that just had alternate pathways to get to where they are. And they were intelligent. So there was just, and you could also go to college and also be intelligent. But I felt like college is like this test, like you got to reach this sort of benchmark and then see where you go. But like some of the dumbest people I ever worked with were master's degree people and like just filled with their own hubris. And
it's filled with marketing department heads straight from college are going to these corporations and working for like Bud Light, for example. But this is the kind of audience that Disney is cultivating now. And it turns out that modern audience didn't exist. And it turns out as everything's falling apart, we're starting to see the rats flee the sinking ship, starting to turn on them. Oh, this is all stuff we predicted years ago. We're like, hey, it's going to have a good time, but then it's going to go to shit. Didn't need to go to shit. This could have gone another 10, 20 years. Easy. There's enough good stories out there to adapt. There's enough good characters to adapt that they own. They haven't done shit with. This is all on them. Despite being Marvel's first crossover event, it's compelling a book inspiration and an all-star cast led by Samuel L. Jackson. Secret Invasion was found to be directionless, confusing, and wasteful, with its characters becoming the first MCU project to receive a rotten score from both audiences and critics. Months after the D+ series' frustrating finale, news of what went on behind the scenes is now being revealed. Via The Hollywood Reporter, a Marvel insider explained the cause for Secret Invasion's pre-production drama. Yeah, no plan. They fired a writer after a year. They'll probably mention that. Due to the pandemic and the MCU's increasing number of D+ shows, Marvel Studios chose to bring in new blood to help with the strain, which directly affected Nick Fury's Phase 5 show. We're in Phase 5. God, it's still hard to believe we're in Phase 5.
Where is, well,
I don't know what Phase 4 was about.
We're supposed to see where everything is going in the last 2 episodes of Loki, which I have not seen. So I only know what happens on Friday or Thursday.
Dude, nobody's going to see it. Nobody.
You got to watch it though. You got to watch it.
Of course I'm going to watch it, but like Samba TV didn't even report the numbers for the opening show. So you know they were bad. Didn't even bother to report it. Via The Hollywood Reporter, a Marvel insider explained the cause of Secret Invasion's production drama. Due to the pandemic and the MCU's increasing number of D+ shows, Marvel Studios chose to bring on new blood to help with the strain, which directly affected Nick Fury's Phase 5 show. For instance, writer and producer Kyle Bradstreet was replaced after working on Secret Invasion for a year, making way for the writers and directors Brian Tucker and Thomas Bezucha and Ali Salim. Cast writers and directors. While the behind-the-scenes details are unclear, Secret Invasion's troubled pre-production actually crippled production in the summer of 2020 thanks to factions, power struggles, and weeks of people not getting along, and it erupted. As a result, Marvel Studios tapped Jonathan Schwartz, a member of its famous Parliament, to right the ship as Secret Invasion was about to lose some of its stars due to filming delays and scheduling conflicts by September 22nd. Secret Invasion's team had been overhauled once its directors, Tom Bezucha, left due to prior commitments, and Marvel executive Chris Gore was reassigned, and he is reportedly out the door when his contract expires. Can fans trust Marvel Studios after Secret Invasion? No, Secret Invasion is but a symptom of a greater problem, of a much greater problem. Maybe it just took that, Emilia Clarke's Drax arm is the epitome of the MCU. Like, it is the living embodiment. It is the meme that defines it. It is the dumbest effing thing. DNA passed on tattoos. DNA passed on tattoos. That's how retarded this has gotten.
Can someone please cosplay that, like, at a convention?
Somebody needs to, we need to find, find a short woman and put a big foam Drax arm on her. That'd be so funny.
Oh my God.
Ridiculous.
I might do that for a cosplay. That'd be
You
fun.
should. You should.
Yeah.
Oh. So can fans trust Marvel Studios after Secret Invasion? The answer is no. When you get diminishing returns, it means you're losing the trust of the public. because you were not authentic. You were telling authentic Marvel stories in the beginning, and you're not telling authentic Marvel stories now. You're telling agenda-based stories that were your very first concern. When you sit down, before you write a script, you get your piece of paper out, and you go, okay, we need a woman of color. That's first thought of your mind. That's not a good story idea. It's not a good, it's just not. But that's, we'll get into it. They explain it in the book. But it's like Kevin Feige. I don't know how you fix this, because like everything's reliant on Kevin Feige now, and he's in way over his head. He like Kathleen Kennedy, who was good at making coffee and facilitating people like Steven Spielberg. Kevin Feige was good when he had people to tell him no. And now that he doesn't have people to tell him no, he's not very good. He's bad. It's very bad. Since Endgame, things have been shit. Utter shit. And that's a long time now. We're getting into almost half a decade. But due to the pandemic's challenges, the pandemic that you guys were allowed to work through, let's just remind that my wife wasn't allowed to work through it because she wasn't considered a real person or necessary in society according to the state, but this was. But due to the pandemic challenges, coupled with introductions of MCU streaming series and Disney CEO woes, which haven't gotten any better, they've actually gotten worse, Marvel Studios' missteps were excusable for a while. However, Secret Invasion's poor quality atop Ant-Man, Antifa-Man, and the Wasp, Commie-Mania, and news of the Red Brand's rejection of the television model for its television shows was what proved to audience that the real problem was internal. It's Kevin Feige, because they approached making their TV shows, Chris, exactly how they approached their movies. There's your biggest mistake. That's how they approached it, according to the book. According to Kevin Feige, we're going to do things different. They almost Marvel, in a lot of ways, is behaving like Netflix, like a tech startup. Like they thought they'd reinvent the wheel in Hollywood.
Right.
And it turns out that it worked when you were making 2 or 3 movies a year. That's kind of pushing it. Worked fine. When you started making 3 TV series, 3 movies, 4 TV series, 4 movies, it all fell apart because Kevin Feige was running such a tight ship and gotten rid of most everybody who helped start, either they left of their own volition or he got rid of the people who started the MCU. How many people out there think Kevin Feige started Marvel Studios? Because he did. Because he didn't. Because he didn't. He was just a producer. He did not start Marvel Studios. But a lot of people probably think that. How many people think Kevin Feige is this big comic book fan? He's not. He's not. He was a Star Wars fan, but not a Marvel Comics fan. However, Secret Invasion's poor quality. I got that. In the same report detailing Secret Invasion's behind-the-scenes drama, Marvel claims to have finally recognized these problems. Yeah, sure. In addition to scrapping and redoing Daredevil Born Again, which is a huge embarrassment, and they threw the writers under the bus, and it was like very un-Kevin Feige-like, who didn't like to air his dirty laundry unless it's his ass on the line, okay? Kevin Feige's a Hollywood producer. There are no nice Hollywood producers, okay? There just aren't. They don't exist. You can't be nice. The way the culture is set up in Hollywood, you can't be nice. You'll get run over. Marvel Studios is high. What was that, Chris?
I said, yeah, I think just you need an asshole to get things done.
Sure.
Sometimes. I think that this is true in politics. It's true in certain types of, you need people to be tough. There are ways to do it where you're less of an asshole, but the biggest asshole usually on a film set is your first AD. They're like ex-cops. They're so like just every interaction I've had, which is basically the second to the director, right? You have the director who's all nice to the actors, whatever. Then you have the AD saying, get this freaking done. Get this rig set up by 6 p.m. That's the person who fires people. That's the person who's an asshole. That's the person that keeps productions running on time. That's why first ADs get like a lot of like, they get a lot of there are directors that really want to work with certain first ADs because they know like the set's going to run smooth. It's an unheralded position on a film set, but also something you need, and you need people to say no. I think part of the problem and the reason we are where we are now is people listening to morons. This is true of both Lucasfilm and Star Wars and where Star Wars is. This is also true where you've got underlings, mid-level and below mid-level people sort of voicing their concerns. And I don't care. We're making a Star Wars film or a Star Wars property for all Star Wars fans, not to serve a certain
3%.
Right. Serve like a small percentage of, and we're not, and no one has the balls to stand up to morons that are making their way into the workplace. That's the way I see it anyways, is a lack of leadership at the top and a lack of setting the tone. It used to be that college kids would come in and they would kind of like be filled with bravado of like, I'm going to change things. It's like, no, this is how things are. And then they kind of settle in.
Well, they found a way to be manipulative. They're like, oh,
yes,
he just gave me a hug. Me too. Jonathan Lasseter,
this person looked at me the wrong way, must be
sexual harassment. Yeah,
it's like manipulating. It's like people don't want to be thought of.
Nobody wants to be working anywhere. Like sometimes you have to understand, but like when you're in a creative environment and you're all walking on eggshells all the time, and you're just telling people what you want to hear, this is why we get so much shit. But Kevin Feige is famously passive aggressive, so he's not going to yell at you.
Right.
He's the kind of guy. Everything's fine. We're not doing this.
Right.
Just that's the kind of guy he is, and it works. It does in Hollywood. That's dude. Even in the very low levels I was working at, the manipulation and opportunism, and just what people were willing to do to keep $18 an hour jobs. I've told the story of the guy who would go in and fuck with my work because he thought I was going to steal his job.
What?
Yeah, and it was at a temp place. Right. And I wanted to work the night shift. I asked to work for it. I didn't want his day job. No, I want to work at night. I don't want to because, I like it better. But yeah, it was pathetic for a little temp job. Fucking freakazoid.
I've seen it where it's just like you need to, I hate to say this, you need to break people's will in some cases to know like, hey, college gave you this fanciful utopian version of how the world is. It isn't that. It's messy, and you have to work very hard to achieve things. That's baseline. Ike Perlmutter and Avi Arad, whatever you think of them, they worked hard, okay? And I know I've heard stories about what an a-hole Avi is, but guess what? He freaking got Spider-Man made.
Yeah.
He got Sam Raimi Spider-Man made, and he, got at least Marvel to a place, right? And then others kind of took over, but whatever. Okay. But like, I'm just saying that like, I sort of, it's just funny because I read a book recently called The No Asshole Rule.
Yeah.
About like how to like avoid hiring corrupting or toxic people in your organization. And I've seen it happen. I've had it happen to me where we have had like no problems. I got to say like working, I know your dad, your dad better than I do, X-Ray Girl, but working with Alan Ng is like a joy. Like, we just mostly laugh and make fun of each other all the time. Like I never had a brother growing up. So male friendships are really important to me. And so like it's fun to work with Alan. Don't clip this or tell him I said that, but
I'm going to say Ing the Merciless.
Ing the Merciless.
Ing the Merciless.
We're going to have, Alan and I have Halloween costumes planned for our Friday live stream, which is before FNT, of course. I can't wait for FNT this Friday. But we're doing Halloween costumes too. And all I'm saying is
it's going to be funny.
I've hired college grads right out of school. When I was in the publishing industry, I hired a lot of kids out of UCLA, and they came sort of filled with here's how I want to change the way we do things. And I'm like, yeah, but there's a reason we do these things. You should kind of learn the system before you want to
learn this. Yeah. Play the game before you change or think you can change the rules. That's part of life.
But I worked enough in the corporate world to see that, there are ways you can do things more efficiently. There are a lot of it is people having a lot of meetings to justify their job. And I think those people are idiots. And a lot of people trying to do things that create work. I call it make work. You're actually making more work than is necessary.
Well, that's probably what led to this disaster, right?
Right.
You know,
like,
who was the writer? Brad Street, right? What was his? I know that name from somewhere. Where was Kyle Bradstreet? Hang on. I'll look it up. Maybe I'm wrong.
Look it up.
IMDb writer. What did he work on?
Let's find out.
Yeah, Mr. Robot. Yes, that's right. I knew I recognized that name. He worked on Copper and Mr. Robot. So he had worked on a couple of shows, right? So he had some experience. And I think Mr. Robot, like early Mr. Robot, would lend itself to maybe something like Secret Invasion. I can see your logic there. But they got rid of that guy, and they brought in 3 other people, redid the whole thing after, being a year into the project. Yeah, can't imagine why this fell apart. So strange. In addition to scrapping, I read that. Yes, Secret Invasion was a huge disappointment and clearly a frustrating experience for its creatives and crew. But if it accomplished anything good for fans, and the MCU brand, at least it proved that the powers that be, it proved to the powers that be what needs to change. Well, because they haven't been listening to fans, they plug their ears. Let's talk about this MCU book real quick, where it goes to shit. The real question is whether these adjustments will come too late or how the MCU will incorporate the subpar series of the new Vision. They're going to have to reboot, which is in of itself a failure. That's a failure because you never should reboot Marvel. You can reboot DC. It's in their brand. But you can't reboot Marvel. Let's see. Okay. This is the last few chapters where they're talking about Captain Marvel. The positive cultural impact of Captain Marvel was palpable. Was it palpable? Was the positive cultural impact of Captain Marvel, the female version, that it was only a recent incarnation from 2012, from Kelly Sue DeConnick, who was a constant, and I mean constant, advisor on the film Captain Marvel. By the way, Kelly Sue DeConnick, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. And then later had to come out and say, yeah, comic book sales aren't good. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen on the internet. The positive cultural impact of Captain Marvel was palpable, but so was the backlash. For the first time, an MCU project was review bombed in an organized campaign before the movie opened. Okay. Organized campaign by whom? Who organized the campaign to review bomb Captain Marvel before it came out? Or was it just a bunch of people from the internet speaking their mind about the character, maybe who had read the comics before and knew what was to come? Or was some mastermind out there with his puppet strings yanking YouTubers and convincing Jeremy from the Quartering and Jeremy from the Geeks and Gamers to have a Captain Marvel video off? where between the two of them, they made 1,000 videos. Or was it just people going, I just read Captain Marvel in the comic books and she imprisoned Americans against their will, breaking the law. She killed Tony Stark and I don't like her. She's an obnoxious bitch. Kelly Sue DeConnick's idea of strength is being an obnoxious bitch. That goes for men and women. Nobody wants it to be an obnoxious bitch. I mostly use the term bitch associated to dudes, to be honest with you. I don't really use it towards women. But yeah, Captain Marvel was a likable character and no longer became a likable character because Marvel was trying to push something that just never was going to happen. They just woke up one day, and this probably came from Disney, and said, we want a Superman, but we want it to be a woman. Now, if you would have thought of that in the 60s and stuck with it, might have worked. But you can't just go, we want to change everything and we're going to depower. And now, you want to play the tape all the way through. Currently in Marvel Comics, Tony Stark is married to Emma Frost, and his last name is now Frost. He took her last name.
Really? That's weird.
Why would you do that? You know you're going to piss off all your fans. It's something men, 99.9% of them, don't do. So it's not even in reality. Why would you do that with Tony Stark? It's so against his character, too. It's fucking ridiculous. It's done to own the chuds. It's done. We're gonna own the chuds. We're gonna take their character and fuck it up. Ha ha. We're gonna lose more money than you could possibly imagine. But we'll own the chuds. Fucking retards. Okay, so where was I? In the organized campaign before the movie even opened, tens of thousands of users gave it the lowest possible rating on websites such as IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, and Rotten Tomatoes, with many reviews little more than misogynist complaints, including accusations that Larson didn't smile enough in the trailer.
Well, that's actually a fact. She didn't really smile enough. It was, I don't know. I just love that, like Christopher Reeve, at the end of Superman, when he's just sort of flying, he looks at the camera and smiles. Yes. Like, remember that? Like, God, Christopher Reeve.
Without having seen the film, what's interesting now is we get a lot of positive reviews on Rotten Tomatoes that say nothing about the film. I went to Miss Marvel recently, and there's a bunch of new ones that basically say, this is a really great series. You need to see it before you see the Marvels. Like over and over again. They're so natural. Accuse your opponent, by the way, in this case, the opponent is you and me, of what you're actually doing. Projection. So, misogynist, including accusations that Larson didn't smile enough with the trailer. Without having seen the film, many anonymous commenters already hated it. You could not pay me to go see this SJW-laden, white male-hating, worthless POS movie. Okay. I'd say that's a pretty good description of the movie. So that person must have been Nostradamus. On Rotten Tomatoes, user wrote, using acronyms for social justice warrior and piece of shit. Thanks for pointing that out in the book. We have no idea what POS means. I am sick of identity politics taking over pop culture. Brie Larson could get hit by a bus and I wouldn't shed a tear. I wouldn't go that far. But the first part of the sentence is I'm sick of identity politics taking over pop culture. Sure. While any movie that dared to not enter on the experiences or interests of young white men got accused of identity politics, the anonymous anger towards women was notably more intense. I just want to point out that this isn't mentioned in the Black Panther chapter. While any movie that dared to not center on experiences or interests of young white men got accused of identity politics, except for the Black Panther movie. The anonymous anger towards women was notably more intense. Captain Marvel was attacked in the way that Black Panther hadn't been. But you just said things that didn't center on white men got accused of identity politics. There's also many perilous pans on Rotten Tomatoes that the site, there were so many that it shut down the user review section until the official release date. That slowed the torrent of abuse, but it didn't stop it. They also completely changed their algorithm and fixed percentages. They did this with Doctor Who as well, all right? So they'll freeze it. Doctor Who was dropping like a rock. In one particular episode was at 0%. 0%. And they stopped it. So I believe it was season 11, they locked at 20%. And I believe, of course, they famously did that with The Last Jedi. They famously did that with The Rise of Skywalker. And they also did it with the audience score with Captain Marvel. The vitriol had been building for some time. The year before, Larson had made headlines when she advocated for more diversity among film critics using Ava DuVernay's A Wrinkle in Time. It flopped, which starred black teenage Storm Reed and Meg Murray as an example of a movie that most critics were unable to engage with. Why? Maybe because they didn't tell a good story? Because I can engage with animated films about animated animals. Roger Rabbit, one of my favorite movies.
Right.
Yeah. that they're not real. So that's bullshit. A movie is supposed to be made. If you're a human, a movie is supposed to be made for you. Just saying. And that's the failure of the storyteller. But I mean, largely, like, this was obviously dumb Brie saying what she thought was the right thing to say. Because there's other interviews with her. She's been an actor all her life. So she has a lot of identity problems. She has a lot of problems.
That's why I feel like when you hear actors say a lot of stupid things, it's like they're just parrots. You know, they're saying it in a way, and they can cry on command, right? Like that's like a superpower.
Well,
in a way.
She even says in this book, I have trouble knowing who Brie Larson is. That's why Captain Marvel became a good place for me to have a platform for influence. That's why she took the job. It was her form of activism. That is a quote from Brie Larson. That's kind of what we had a problem with, right? That doesn't get, you know, the internet mob was correct that Larson wanted to change the status quo, which only made its members more determined to shout her down with negative reviews, online abuse, and YouTube videos accusing the actress of ruining the MCU. How are things doing now? Just checking. How's the MCU? Doing pretty good? No? Wait, there's more. Even if they didn't know the vagaries of the Marvel Entertainment's corporate politics, they were siding with Ike Perlmutter. So Ike Perlmutter famously said, and he's not wrong, female action figures do not sell. That's what he said. He said, I'm here to sell action figures. Captain Marvel's not going to sell action figures. Remember when the Rey action figure came out and they're all, take that, misogynists. Then they all ended up in the discount aisle.
Right. Oh God, I've seen it when I go to conventions. I always look for like used toys, you know, like the toy that, and you'll see like the bin. I can't tell you how many sequel trilogy toys are in bins. And bins are like, when you make the bin, it's like, you know, 3 for $5, or you know what I mean? Like, it's that discount pricing. You're just trying to get rid of it to make room in the garage at this stage.
Right. So Captain Marvel, like, not even the worst movie since Captain Marvel. It's not the worst. It's not good, but it's not the worst movie, right? But it was the harbinger. Actually, The Wasp and Ant-Man was technically like the prequel to the MCU, right? Yeah. And then Captain Marvel was full on MCU, and well, how's it been since then? Not very good. The book even has to admit it, but they don't admit why. So, siding with Ike Perlmutter. Yes, I side with Ike Perlmutter by saying action figures generally don't sell to women. And the female action figures, if they're being bought by men, and they're usually the 1 in 5s. Sure, they exist. I've got some hanging on my wall, got no problem with that, but they generally just don't sell. They don't, okay? Fact of life. Sorry, it bursts your fake worldview that you got living in your parents' bedroom and going to university. And the defunct creative committee, which had people like Brian Michael Bendis on it and Joe Quesada. So it's not like these were all like Trump supporters, which they really try to push that Ike Perlmutter is a Trump supporter. So obviously he's the devil. They also tell another lie. So when Terrence Howard was replaced by Don Cheadle, he poorly worded something, but he said, well, nobody's going to notice the difference. And of course, what gets added on to that was because they're black. He's like, no, because they're insignificant characters and nobody gives a shit. That's what he meant. But they pushed the narrative that he was being racist. This guy who's owned $1 billion corporation has run Marvel and hired people. And, you know, they also point out, a little aside, that the first meeting, God, I'm forgetting his name now. The producer who started the Marvel Studios, who actually came up with the idea, something with an M. He sat down and pitched Perlmutter the idea, not Kevin Feige, Perlmutter the idea at Mar-a-Lago. At Mar-a-Lago. That's where the first lunch happened. And they also point out that Mar-a-Lago was the first like private club to allow gays and blacks and Jews. The Racist Trump was the first club. He's like, he didn't care. As long as you can pay, I don't care who's there.
Yeah.
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 All those other clubs, yeah, they had a little stricter rules. Okay, back to this. Wrinkle of Time, blah, blah, blah. Marvel Studios under Kevin Feige and the creative committee who had long Ike Perlmutter and the creative committee who had long lost the war to keep Marvel Studios focused on male and white characters. No, I would say main characters that actually drove profits. Ike Perlmutter did try to get a Black Panther movie off the ground with Wesley Snipes and couldn't because Avi Arad was licensing them out. But they tried to make a Black Panther movie. So this racist guy tried to make a Black Panther movie. So it goes against this entire narrative that comes directly from current Marvel Studios to help push somebody out. Not saying Ike Perlmutter's a saint. I'm just saying there's probably another side of the story, but he doesn't speak to the press. Not often. Marvel Studios under Feige and Alonso and other leaders recognized that its audience was hundreds of millions of people. Almost half of them were women, according to a 2021 poll by Morning Consult. Amazing poll. Wait, Chris. Amazing poll.
Very scientific.
Half of your potential customers are half the population.
Right.
I hope they got paid a lot of money for that.
I'll say this, like having gone to Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con since '89 and been around the convention circuit since for a long time. Let's just say that when there weren't like formal comic conventions were not a huge thing back in my day. It was like a room at the auto show. So the Detroit Auto Show would happen. Cars, and Adam West was signing 8x10s in a side room where they'd be selling comics, and then in another room they'd be showing 16mm prints of Star Trek the original series. And then conventions started to kind of evolve. And I'll just say this, seeing a woman at a comic convention like in the 90s, Gary, was like a Bigfoot sighting.
Yes.
It was rare. And I will say the one thing you do have to give Marvel credit for, they did create a lot of female Marvel fans, but the reason that they were fans is they liked when Chris Hemsworth took his shirt off, or when Benedict Cumberbatch took his shirt off, or when Paul Rudd took his shirt off, or when Robert Downey Jr. took his shirt off, or when Chris Evans took his shirt off. Female fans of Marvel became fans because they liked hot guys. These are the same women that will go to a Chippendales show, and there is nothing wrong with that. As far as I'm concerned, all are welcome. You are welcome. It's a big tent. Hey, and I saw it in 2000. I know that you remember this, Gary. 2007 was where I started to feel, I think San Diego Comic-Con is getting too big. You literally could roll up and say, I'm thinking of going to Comic-Con. You'd roll up, get a badge, or a friend would say, how do I get a badge? Just go and buy one. You could get a hotel room. Now it is mass chaos, and it's insane.
Twilight and the Fire Marshal changed everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Twilight. That was the year of Twilight. That was the year that, do you remember, a woman got killed crossing the street?
Yep.
Because she was just so anxious to get in the line for Twilight. I remember it was she
ran across Harbor Boulevard. Yeah.
Yes.
Or was it a bike?
I walked by and it was the first time ever I'd seen a overnight line. I'd never seen that before at San Diego Comic-Con previous to 2007. So I'm walking down at night, as you do, going to the Marriott where it was easy to get a room and they were affordable. Now they're $800 a night. They jack up the prices during Comic-Con. Anyways, walking by and I see all these kids and I'm like, what are they waiting? I didn't understand. And it was the first time I noticed there even was an overnight line for anything. 2007 was the tipping point. That was the beginnings of Marvel also. I think, was that the year also they just showed the trailer for Iron Man, or the teaser trailer? Was it 2007 or 2000? Anyways, but yeah, that was
they did a panel. I was at the panel.
Oh, wow.
All these panels they talk about, I was at every single one of them because it was easy to get into them. You know, Ed Norton's Incredible Hulk panel, and Louis Leterrier was there with the cast on. They go over the whole thing. I'm like, I was there. I got that. I have video of that somewhere. Where Edward Norton just comes out of nowhere and says, yeah, I'm writing it.
That's weird.
No, so okay, well, let's get back to
Anyway,
this.
sorry, sidetrack. I'm just saying that I am happy that there are female like Marvel fans. I'll say that a lot of them are fans because of the strong male energy and the hot guys and these. I just go back.
So they liked Marvel the way it was. Like the
Bingo.
female comic book readers, who were a very small percentage, liked Marvel the way it was. Had no
100%.
problem with it at all. Who had problems with it? Academics who came in, didn't fucking understand. Once the hangers on people, that's activism. That's what activism is, opportunism. All these people, there's something popular we can latch ourselves onto for clout or whatever, and we'll just. There's a saying in Hollywood that I don't know if they still use it. Kind of seems like they do. I'll be whatever you need me to be. I'll be whatever you need me to be. And but yeah, like more women went to see Aquaman, percentage wise, than Captain Marvel, by a long shot. So this whole more women thing, the majority of people who watched Captain Marvel the movie were men. So whatever you were going for, you didn't get it. And by the way, Captain Marvel was a direct reaction to Wonder Woman. That's all it was. DC embarrassed Marvel, and Kevin Feige was going to have it. But when they started reacting to things instead of just doing their own thing, that's where the problems start. When you start reacting instead of competing against yourself, not worrying about what everybody else is doing. Okay. So they loved the MCU. This is part of also another poll that came out in 2014 that basically asked on Facebook, are you interested in comics? And half the women said yes. Now, interest is not, do you actively buy and read comics on a regular basis? Because I think that would be a bit different. But sure, you go for it. But I say, my opinion is, and I think the facts have proved this out, that they went about it the wrong way. They went about it the wrong way. Not a small but vocal. Okay, so let me get back this. So there was that poll. Almost half of them women, according to 2021 poll by Morning Consult, who loved the MCU. Not a small but vocal coterie of cranks and trolls who campaigned against the MCU movies with prominent female characters like the Eternals.
Oh my God.
The Eternals and Black Widow. Both released in 2021. Both lost money. As representing the decline of okay, so I'm going to start that over again because I want to get this beat out. The prominent female characters like Eternals and Black Widow, both released in 2021, as representing the decline of Marvel and the rise of the MCU.
Wait. Does the book say MCU?
Wait, okay, let me, I'll make it, I can barely read it. Oh,
sorry.
It's highlighted.
I highlighted it.
Gary, you should take a photo of that and make a T-shirt of that. Wait, that's in the book, dude.
It's in the fucking book in the Captain Marvel chapter.
Dude.
But of course,
You
it's
should get royalties for that.
It is fucking towing the company line, though. So for people, I mean, like, there's some tidbits that, and probably some stuff that Marvel doesn't want out there, but this isn't some damnation of Marvel at all. At all. It's basically how they flew by the seat of their pants in the beginning. They took risks. They took creative risks. They have creative people, and everything they did in the beginning, I'm completely for. Then they systematically got rid of all the people who helped create that synergistic Marvel cinematic universe. And now it's just one guy who's completely over his head. Kevin Feige runs publishing answers to Kevin Feige, marketing answers to Kevin Feige, the film studios answer to Kevin Feige, and now the Disney streaming answers to Kevin Feige. He used to run 2 movies a year.
Well, I think that was like in terms of just like bandwidth, right? Like that's like how much more can you handle? And once they scaled their efforts post Endgame, and it's like it's going to be. I remember when they were announcing all these TV series, and I was in the room at San Diego Comic-Con, and I remember like the sort of profound lack of enthusiasm. It was the first time I'd ever been to a Marvel panel where people were like, "I don't care about series." there's going to be this series. So what? Like, and everything that Marvel touched was gold up until then. So like you could feel it in the room that was there like so I have to subscribe to Disney Plus and now you're going to make me watch all these shows.
And you went about them completely the wrong way. Like WandaVision, if you would have stuck with the sitcom thing and not had some gobbledygook dumb shit battle at the end, and it was actually Mephisto, that would have been a good series, and not Agatha. And why did they choose Agatha? Why did they de-age Agatha from the fucking comics? And why did they choose her? Because they wanted to have a woman fighting a woman. That's it. And they introduced another woman. That was their whole point. So my beef is not with women being in stuff. It's, it will be like, I'm going to introduce turkeys into the MCU. And we're just going to force it in. We need a turkey in this thing, and a turkey. That they don't look at them as women. They're not characters. They're identities. That's not humans that they're introducing. Monica Rambeau's an actual character for Marvel that if you adapted correctly would have been absolutely fucking cool. Would have been fine to watch. Wouldn't have had any problems with this. Falcon and Winter Soldier, if it was like a Lethal Weapon buddy comedy, would have been great.
That would, when I heard it was a buddy, when I heard it was a buddy comedy, I thought, oh, it's going to be cool. I watched the first couple episodes and I was like, this was lame. And then of course I just watched other people's videos. Once they would tell me what would happen, one, it was like more entertaining to watch like someone like you or Az or whatever, like explain what was going on. But like, I couldn't believe how dumb it was.
Well, and passing the fucking mantle to Falcon is fucking stupid. All right. If Falcon was Asian or white, it wouldn't make any sense. His powers don't lend himself to having a shield. He doesn't have superpowers. He flies. How is he going to fling that shield around with his big wings that come off his fucking arms? They can get in the way. It just doesn't work. Plus, his tech isn't that great. It's not like he's running around with Stark tech last time I checked. So maybe he is, but still, dude, his costume looks like shit. And he was great as the Falcon. Leave him the Falcon. The shield should have gone to Bucky. That's what they're fucking setting up, like completely. And they just, nah.
I just don't get it, because I read Captain America and the Falcon when I was a kid in the 70s. I bought it off the rack at the drugstore, would ride my bike, read those comics, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I even had the Mego action figure.
I had a Falcon Mego as a kid. Absolutely.
I did too. I had the Falcon Mego.
I thought they were Batman and Robin when I started reading them. I'm like, they're always together, right? Yeah. Where's Falcon? Where did Falcon go? When he took off, I was like pissed. So
they were a great team, and I really, when they brought him in, I loved it. In Civil War, I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, he was good.
He doesn't have powers. He's not a super soldier.
No, he can get killed.
And the dumb thing is, they have introduced this costume. And I only saw like clips. They introduced the costume at the end.
The Wakandans made him a costume now in that. So he's got like a Wakanda costume.
Does he have a new costume? Anyways, but the fact that his head is exposed, isn't like your head, the top of your head, the most important? If he falls the wrong, look, you wear a helmet if you ride a bike. Okay. You've got these flying wings. You hit the wall the wrong way.
Dude, Captain America is a brand, and that brand is his fucking mask. Is that face in that mask? Is Steve Rogers in that mask? You can't just, it's not, in this book, they see, well, all of our characters are just legacy now. No.
So dumb.
Miles Morales will never be Spider-Man. Sam Wilson will never be Captain America. Never will. Jane Foster will never be fucking Thor. None of this shit will never, ever be. There's certain characters you just can't get away with it.
I mean,
some characters you can.
I just think it's a stupid and lazy, it's
Riri Williams is an Iron Man.
It's a comic book thing, because you would go like, oh my God, they changed so-and-so's costume. Like Robin on Earth 2 has a green cape. You know what I mean? Like weird stuff. That's a super inside, like, comic nerd thing. They change the costume, or for one, or like they would always have like those. This is why I love What If. Gary, I know you're a What If fan. I'm talking of the comics.
The comics, yeah.
Where they would have like the issue where all the Fantastic Four like switched powers. I mean, I know it's dumb, but for one issue of a comic, I'm like, whatever, it's fine.
What if #1?
Yeah.
What if Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four?
Yes, I love stuff like that. It's fine. It's a little side quest thing that doesn't affect the main storyline. And what they've done is they've taken these dumb ideas and they put them into,
well, yeah, they skipped really fucking good ideas, Kree Skrull War, and they changed them, usurped them, vandalized them, and squeezed them into some message box and used provably failed stories from I was just reading the private chat. So,
sorry, no, that was for Rex Ray Girl, really.
Okay,
I don't want to bother you. You're on a rant. You're on a roll.
No. So basically, all the stories that were shit that sold in the thousands, that's what they're adapting right now. They skipped all that. The reason they skipped that because Kevin Feige's not a lifelong comic book fan. So all of his comic book knowledge comes from trades he bought off the shelf from Barnes & Noble, and then he crammed for a test, which is a way to do things. But if you're building out the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if I was Kevin Feige, I'd go back to the beginning with your pick 6 or 7 main titles, read them all the way through. You got time. Make the time. You're in charge of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You go back and watch. You read X-Men 1 through 600. Yes, you fucking do. That's what you do. You read all the Fantastic Four in order. And you're still not reading them in context. But if you want to run this thing and say, well, we're properly adapting them, then do the fucking work. Not, I'm just going to get so rando trade by fucking Kelly Sue DeConnick and now I'm an expert on Captain Marvel. No, you're not. Kelly Sue DeConnick wasn't an expert on Captain Marvel.
Speaking of the Skrulls, Gary, you're more of a comic book historian than I am. I know pieces of comic book history, but whatever happened to the Skrulls that became cows?
Oh, I don't know.
Like, we're talking about issue 2 of Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And the Skrulls.
I'm sure it got brought up again. Hang on.
The Skrulls that were initially encountered by the Fantastic Four were defeated and then hypnotized into thinking they were cows, and they actually became cows. Did they just become meat at that point? Did they become burgers? Like, what happened to those cows?
They were left to graze along terrestrial cattle alongside. They became hamburgers.
Yeah. I was going to say, that would be such a cool thing. Like, even if that was referenced.
This burger tastes a little gamey. What's going on here?
Yeah. Even that was referenced in Secret Invasion. That would have been such a cool thing. Like, these, well, I don't know.
They can reference all the Easter eggs they want. And then they go, look, we totally took something from the comics, except for the character, the costume, the gender of the character, the sexual preference of the character, any of the actual story. But we took one little thing from that story and put it in as an Easter egg, and now all of a sudden they're adapting comics. Shut the fuck up. No. Hell no. Okay, hang on. The studio made movies starring women and people of color with increasing frequency. And in 2022, the TV show She-Hulk Attorney at Law Marvel even had the hero Jen Walters battle her male online critics.
God, what a terrible decision that was.
Yeah, and the book is presenting this as some kind of fucking win. Dude.
Well, it's like here's my prediction. I haven't seen the Marvels, and if I'm even still on Disney's list, I will hopefully see it a few days before it opens and be able to talk about it. We're going to get that 6-second shot that was in Endgame of all the women coming together.
No.
That's the whole movie. That's the whole movie. And I think it was Ryan Kinnell who was just telling me that he thinks that Valkyrie is in the film because the director and Tessa Thompson have worked together previously.
So that could be the Thor.
It's not Thor. It's
King Valkyrie. Oh God, more women.
Oh.
Yes.
No, that's Ryan. I got to give Ryan Kinnell credit for that. He's the one that.
You know what's going to bring the fans back? More women acting like dudes.
Right.
That'll do it. The book also mentions the co-writer of Guardians of the Galaxy, Nicole Perlman. This is an interesting story. This is an interesting story. 'Cause this is an interesting story. 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 This Guardians of the Galaxy co-writer allegedly had harsh words for James Gunn. Guardians of the Galaxy co-writer Nicole Perlman might not be credited for her work on the Marvel Studios film if James Gunn had his way. He did try to take away her writer's credit. An incredible amount of the Marvel films went to WGA arbitration. A lot of names have been removed. But if you want to know what the distinct difference between the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie and the next two was the lack of Nicole Perlman, who basically wrote the whole script. James Gunn punched it up, made it more James Gunn. He brought in the music. He did definitely bring in a lot of stuff, but she had to fight to keep her credit, and she had a fuck James Gunn party when she was done.
My understanding is that he did a page one rewrite. And because she did the first drafts or whatever, she was credited, but he made it more Gunn, which
is what they asked for, but
right.
A lot of her shit was still in there, like a lot.
Right.
But he was also free to be, because he got in on Joss Whedon's recommendation, right? So he was free to be himself a little more on that first movie. That's the distinct difference. But the reason the first movie's way more tight, I think might have had a lot to do with her structure. That's just my opinion. But because if you go and look at the next two, which I liked, they meander quite a bit. They meander quite a bit. A little too self-indulgent. So there is a Marvel poster. Let's see if I can.
I have it.
Do you have it? That
Lady G.
Lady G provided. This is going to get Chris really excited for the movie. I think.
I can't wait. Let's go.
I want you to prepare yourself, audience. You are going to get so excited for the Marvels. You're going to go online right after you see this picture and buy tickets. Because we want to see all of their torsos.
What? It's not even like, okay, by the way, I love Party City. I love Spirit Halloween. I like those kind of costumes you can get. And they're getting better and better. Yeah, I don't know. I like the one where it was sort of very sexually suggestive. I don't know. Photon or whatever. It looks like a Spider-Man costume.
Well, look at how badly I don't know the actress's name. The Photoshop there. I mean, like, this is a great argument. AI would have done better art. But I don't know. Is this supposed to be? I don't even know what this is supposed to riff on, to be honest with you, and I don't care. All I know is I see a bunch of bodies lined up. This poster was better. Here you go, X-Ray Girl.
Oh, yeah. I know which one you're going
Oh.
Oh, no.
This poster's way better.
Oh, no. Keep posting that, Gary. Keep posting.
I think if they posted that in the theater, we should steal them and draw. Oh, well, no, actually, stealing is bad. We shouldn't do that.
I think I might buy one.
Buy one and draw
and draw on it, and I'll do a couple of those.
It's just so obvious. I mean, it's as bad as that. You remember the Little Mermaid VHS box?
Yes.
From the 90s that had the painted penis, and the thing is this: they debunked that. Where basically, like, the guy who illustrated it, who happens to be gay, said you know what?
He's probably already got dick on his mind. So.
Yeah, something on his mind when he was painting it, but it was definitely not intentional. It was just something that
I think that's a worse argument, to be honest with you. It wasn't intentional. I just accidentally draw dicks all the time.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it. Well,
it's not the excuse you think it is.
Yeah, I know. But he was horrified when it was revealed to him that look what you painted. So.
Oh my. Oh. My, yeah. Marvel's in bad shape, obviously. This book, again, I mean, if you want to read it, there is, like, the early parts is much better, like where they're going over phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. But my big takeaway is everything was Perlmutter's fault. The committee that he had, it was their fault. Joss Whedon's fault, Edgar Wright's fault, all these people who were shown the door. The guy who started the Marvel Studios left of his own volition after 2011, handed off to Kevin Feige, said, I did what I wanted to do here. and just kind of took off and made millions. And got, Kevin Feige got rid of Perlmutter. Iger was his biggest ally. And now all of the oversaturation from Marvel Phase 4 and Disney Plus, the book makes it sound like that was those were directions that came directly from Bob Chapek. So they're trying to blame Bob Chapek for the division between Feige and Alonso. Alonso was indeed taken off press when she criticized Chapek over the Florida parental rights bill. And Kevin Feige said, hey, just keep your head down and do your work. She wouldn't do it. She wouldn't take part in editing out the LGBTQ plus whatever stuff from movies. So that all the stuff you heard, according to the book, was true. But Kevin didn't stop her from being fired, didn't step in to keep her from being fired. He really doesn't like dirty laundry being aired. He really freaking hates it. But now he's starting to do it himself. That was no accident. When they should have waited with this book. They should have waited another year, because they could write another book on Phase 4. They just kind of glossed over it and didn't criticize Iger at all. Basically said he is triumphant return. Now maybe it's when they stopped. Maybe it's when he just came back. But to pin this on Bob Chapek, when Bob Chapek took over, Bob Iger was still chairman of the board, and most of the initial D+ shows were, most if not all, were greenlit by him. We're all signed off by him. So that's bullshit. That's always been bullshit. Now, it's easier to believe now, because now that Iger's been back and Kevin Feige has been completely in charge since 2019, like utterly in charge, doesn't answer to really, he answers to one guy, but like Kevin's going to get whatever he wants at this point. It's indefensible now. The movies are underperforming. The characters are not interesting. The CGI is horrible. The stories are horrible. The characterization is horrible. I'm sure the catering is probably great, but everything else is horrible.
Yeah.
And you're running out of people to blame. You're running out of people to blame. And now Nelson Peltz is coming in, and there might be a proxy war. And even people like Matthew Bellani from Puck were writing like, yeah, Bob Iger's got two choices, basically. He either can play ball or he's going to get fired. So if things keep going down, we'll see. They had to sell a bunch of assets to India because that was a massive failure. So there's that. Oh, Aquaman 3 gets an update. There's not going to be no Aquaman 3.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Also, I wanted to bring this up real quick. Here's
okay.
The poor movie theaters are screwed.
Well, the next year is going to be rough. I mean, they're already talking about other concert films based on the success of the Taylor Swift, which I went on a rant last week because I saw this movie in a theater. I'm trying to enjoy a freaking French subtitled movie called Anatomy of a Fall, this little suspense thriller courtroom drama, and I'm hearing freaking Shake It Off in the next theater next to me.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I don't mind it. I love that movie theaters are doing this, but apparently someone in the comments on the video about it on Film Thread was saying that they actually increased the audio of the Taylor Swift movie by several decibels to give you kind of a concert-like experience. And this has affected sort of bleed into other films. And this movie that I saw was very quiet, and it was freaking awful.
There's only one, thank God, there's only one Taylor Swift. So I don't know how many concert films can get away with this.
Beyonce's coming out, and there's another one that was just announced.
Well, they're going to be disappointed.
Well, I'm saying
not the same audience.
Well, you know, Katy Perry and Beyonce were like so jealous of that they saw Taylor Swift's concert video. That bitch.
But I mean, maybe this is a
Lady
thing.
Gaga will probably do one.
Maybe this is a thing in the sense that like she was going to do the concerts anyway, right? Apparently they filmed it. They shot it over 3 days at whatever the SoFi Stadium is in Los Angeles. I don't know. I've never been. It's freaking expensive. But
it's easy money. It's 3 days of production. You know, it's going to have one good weekend. The drop off will be intense after, but it doesn't matter. All you need is one good weekend. But you know,
that's it.
You also have to be Taylor Swift.
The Beyonce movie is coming out in December. So these things, and UFC has regular schedules.
I'm going to buy Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers tickets to that movie for Christmas.
Yeah, please do.
Such a Beyonce fan.
They do UFC fights too. I mean, normally I just go to a bar to watch a UFC fight, right? I'm not paying $100 at home. I'll pay $10 for a wristband at a bar and I'll watch UFC if that's something that I'm up for doing. But I don't know. UFC at a movie theater might be kind of fun, but I don't know. I don't want to just sit in my seats. I want to order some wings. I want to walk around. I want to chat.
Have a couple
It's not
beers.
gonna. It's not. It might keep some theaters around for a little while, but it's gonna. The habit's already been broken. So let's be real. Between May and June, that was of this year. That was the first time Hollywood was completely back from COVID. There was normal releases. There was a full set. I was like, what are you guys doing? You have nothing after these 2 months.
Yeah, because it was like every week was a big movie. Flash, Indy 5. There was a run there that was like, oh wow, we're back to big movies coming out.
Then they go on strike.
And they're screwed. You already heard that the second Mission Impossible Part 2 of Dead Reckoning has been pushed. One, they're changing the title, and two, they're pushing it back to 2025 and doing major they're just retooled because the Part 1 did not do well. It underperformed.
Yep.
So.
Because people have Hollywood's not the thing anymore. They're not the destination. And that's going to change everything. Yes, the activists will eventually leave and go on to something probably try to hit gaming harder than they already are, and that's where a lot of the money is going to go. And once the money and the talent starts leaving, which we've already seen, so we're seeing the entropy, right? Movie theaters brace for holiday season blues and more delayed blockbusters as strike drags on. So this is going to be COVID 2.0 without the bailouts. Question mark behind that. Don't know. Without Taylor Swift and Martin Scorsese, the October box office would have been a ghost town long before a Halloween hit. Well, I mean, I guess the Scorsese movie's pretty good, according to some people. Bit long.
I liked it. The bit long, that is a legit criticism. That is, it needed an intermission, or can you? Drinker had the best. He brought up some stuff that I hadn't considered, and he has a good take on it. But it's weird because also Scorsese movies are not they're not commercial movies. They're not. They're not commercial at all. When you look at the history, his movies don't even do that well, but they make money in the long run. But they tend to age well. Is what they do, right? I mean, we're still talking about movies like Taxi Driver, movies that released in the 80s, and the King of Comedy, After Hours, yeah. His movies tend to age well.
I like After Hours a lot.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's a fun movie. It's a fun, cool 80s Martin Scorsese movie. But I like Scorsese. I think he's a very good director. I have no interest in seeing Killers of the Flower Moon at all. It's
it's on Apple TV Plus.
I know the I know the history, so I mean it's pretty fucking awful. But not no wizards. There's no wizards in it, right?
Yeah.
There might be some grand wizards, but
there's no rings.
No
rings of power.
One distributed by an exhibitor and other backed by a major streaming service. That anyone went to the movies at all. It may get worse before it gets better. Hopefully, Hollywood hoped SAG-AFTRA and studios would resolve their contract negotiations by the end of October. They went and met yesterday. The studios had a counterproposal for the levy, and it fell apart. So they're planning to talk again in the future, but they're not close. But the strike drags on, preventing major stars from promoting their new films and adding to exhibitors' anxieties about the upcoming holiday season, which is grim, utterly grim. There are some movies that I'd be interested in seeing that I'm going to go see. There's 3 of them, but they're not going to make money. They're not going to make billions of dollars. which is they
I want to
need.
see Wonka. Wonka. Did you see
I
the
have
new
noticed-
trailer?
I'll see
Has
it.
me interested.
I don't know.
I'm gonna see it.
We'll see. The one I'm excited for, Silent Night.
Yeah, that one looks good.
The Iron Claw. That's 2. There's
Yes.
actually 3, and Ferrari. Like those 3 movies I want to see. I can't wait to see Ferrari. That looks, I love Michael Mann. I think he's a great director. So it may get worse before it gets better. Hopefully SAG-AFTRA and studios resolve, blah, 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 blah. But the strike drags on, preventing major stars. I read that part. The lack of any resolution in labor conflict is bad news for the movie theaters. Says Sean Rabbins, chief analyst of Box Office Pro. I love these analysts who come out and they're paid big money to say like, hey, the lack of movies is bad for theaters. Where's that job? I want to get that job. I can say like really obvious shit and could be called an analyst. There you go.
That's obvious. It's so lame.
The longer the strike goes on, we approach the worst case scenario of impact. Some movies don't need actors to promote them. I think the one takeaway, Chris, is no movies need actors to promote them at all. If studios want to save money, stop the press junkets like immediately. Barbenheimer proved it.
Yeah.
Barbenheimer proved it. Some movies don't need actors to promote them, but smaller releases could benefit from having stars on the press circuit. There might be, with smaller movies, yes.
Smaller movies,
yeah,
smaller movies, that makes a lot of sense. But
it does, depending on who the star is and what you consider a star. Like, who is a movie star? A movie star is an actor who gets cast in a movie, and his or her name alone puts butts in seats. Does that exist anymore?
I don't know.
Not really. I mean, there will be names that you go, he's in it. Let's check it out. But that's not guaranteed. That's like, that might get somebody to watch the trailer. But yeah, that doesn't exist anymore. Overall, the domestic box office has generated $7.5 billion to date, which is 17.1% behind 2019 and 25.6% ahead of 2020. You can't, when no movies came out. According to ComScore, analysts project the year would wind up being around $9 billion, though reaching that benchmark will depend on the performance of the final few 2023 tentpoles. Already, B. Riley senior media analyst Eric Wood has revised down expectations for the fourth quarter. That mostly due to high-profile delays of Doom Part 2, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Did they complete that movie?
Yeah, they're holding it.
So what's it called now?
I don't know.
And Kraven the Hunter.
Oh, I saw the trailer for that. Did you see the trailer for that? That basically
I
gave
did.
away the whole story. You're looking. All I could think to myself was, why? Why are they doing this?
Okay. In all reality, outside of Doom Part 2, I think Taylor Swift's movie will make more. The Ghostbusters Afterlife, I liked it, but it didn't make a lot of money. Didn't generate a lot of buzz, and it was all about a cameo at the end. But it was fine. It was fine. It was not Ghostbusters 2016, which it made less money than, by the way. Don't think Kraven the Hunter was going to move the needle in any way, shape, or form. And I would argue we weren't sure if Doom Part 2 was going to. I was excited for the movie. Definitely. Wanted to see it. I don't see it making $1 billion. Taylor Swift wasn't enough to offset the movies that moved. Wold says, although Christmas time is without Avatar and Star Wars sequels to bring in the families, he believes that there's enough left on the calendar to keep multiplexes bustling from Thanksgiving to New Year's Eve. Really? 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 There's a decent mix of superhero and young adult content and nostalgia that drives, he says. Okay. Really? Not a very good analyst. You're like a bad analyst. But there's concerning absence of surefire hits on the horizon. Disney's The Marvel, the sequel to the billion-dollar blockbuster Captain Marvel, arrives in November and is tracking on lower end of the comic book adaptations. Adding to the uncertainty is a short window before the Hunger Games prequel, which is tracking poorly as well. that makes its way into theaters around Thanksgiving. Then again, moviegoers care about a Panem without Jennifer Lawrence's Girl on Fire. There's an adage that movie-going begets movie-going, though exhibitors fear that some of the blockbuster hopefuls don't have enough of a runaway beyond opening weekend. A similar pileup is cooking up with family-friendly films around Turkey Day as Universal Illumination delivered the threequel Trolls Band Together, which probably will make the most money. I don't fucking know. I'm not going to say it.
Isn't that weird that that's going to be the biggest one?
A week before Disney's latest animated musical, Wish, fingers crossed for a We Don't Talk About Bruno style earworm to inspire more than one trip to the movie theaters. I don't know. I'm not seeing a lot of hype about Wish, but what do I know? The strike-related gaps on the calendar have promoted some top pop stars like Beyonce, and she blah, blah, blah. Yeah, she's talking about her concert. It's been very clear that exhibitors need to step outside the box and find alternative content when studios aren't putting out a tentpole. Well, you relied on that. Whether it's COVID or the strikes, things keep getting delayed and on a consistent level of content hitting the big screen. A few films are sticking to their original release date strategy despite the unpredictable Warner Brothers superhero movie Aquaman, which is going to flop. It's just absolutely going to flop. There's Wonka. Who knows? And you know what's going to bring him back? A remake of The Color Purple, Chris.
Well, it's based on the stage play, so it's a musical. I don't know. I just watched the trailer and I'm like, yeah, it's probably not something for me. It's fine.
They talk about Mission Impossible, Beetlejuice 2, Venom 3, but I guess these films are done, but it's way worse. We're talking about next year. Next year's going to be a desert. It's going to be like that first year back from COVID.
It's going to be such a desert. Gary is going to watch RRR. That's how big of a desert it is. He's finally going to watch it.
I'm going to watch RRR.
Yeah, that's how bad it is.
That's it.
Like Gary's finally going to go like, well, I've seen all the movies, so now I'll just see RRR.
I'm done.
Yeah, you're done.
There's still some stuff. I'm going to like finish up Fall of the House of Usher. I didn't mind the first episode, but a lot of potential for intersectionalism that might just rip me right out of the story. But the concept is pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard people saying it's pretty good. I may jump in and see it. But did you see Old Dads?
No, I'm going to see that tonight with
Melissa. I
Melissa.
messaged you about it. Oh my God, it's Bill Burr, and whatever you think about Bill Burr, always loved his comedy, loved his frankness and not giving a shit about stuff.
I think Bill Burr is a little fake when it comes to that. When he doesn't give a shit, except he will not talk to Anthony Cumia anymore over what Anthony Cumia was supposedly canceled for, and fucking completely turned his back on him. Won't talk to him again. Sat down. No, dude. Anthony Cumia took a picture of, it's like over a picture he took in New York City, and he said something a little salty and got canceled for it. So he went off and started his own network. Anthony Cumia is as real as it gets, but he told the story. I'm paraphrasing here. I might be getting part of it wrong, but basically him and Bill Burr sat down and said, I can't associate with you anymore. So Mr. Anti-PC can't talk to Anthony Cumia anymore. So I think he's dollar store Bill Hicks, Dave Chappelle. I think he's dime store. I think he delivers his comedy really well. He says some funny stuff once in a while, but he also just won't cross certain lines.
I'm just surprised this movie got made at Netflix, because it is total indictment of California progressives. Watching it reminded me, I'm going to review it like with Alan, because I said to Alan, you please watch this movie on Netflix. But it reminds me of myself in the 90s when I realized like what idiots most people were, like trying to raise two kids and keep them like normal kids, but raising them in California. And oh my God, like it's so Old Dads, a lot of fun. and it just rips on things you never see.
I saw a clip that I really liked. So yeah.
Oh, and it's throughout. But the thing is this, it's like the mainstream version of it. What I want to see is the R-rated version of Old Dads. I want to see the R-rated version that just goes nuts.
Unrated. Yeah.
Unrated. Like it goes far in the sense that we've never seen anything mainstream do this. And I really wish it was released to theater.
Chris, this is the lowest hanging fruit in the world. That's why there's a bunch of cowards in comedy right now.
Right.
And the ones who aren't cowards will never have access and probably wouldn't want it to make something. But like making fun of woke Hollywood, woke politics, woke white women from Marin is the lowest hanging fruit in the world. Comedians should be just eating it up, and they aren't.
Wait, I do have to correct myself. I believe the movie is rated R because they go to a strip club and they just show nudity, tons of nudity.
We still want that unrated version. I agree with you.
But I'm just saying unrated in terms of like, more, it can just go, as X-Ray Girl says, balls deep. It can just go.
I've never said that.
Have you ever
online?
I thought it was you that said it.
Not online.
Oh, not online. Okay. Anyways, I'm saying just go really hardcore. The hardcore R-rated version. I don't mean in terms of sex and nudity. What?
Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Did you hear
that
what
cat has changed you?
Did you hear what you were called by? Who was it again? Retardo.
I don't know.
In the super chat yesterday, X-Ray Girl. You were called. So, you'd have to see it on the real BBC, but you were named a sex-rated girl.
Oh, that makes so much sense because I got there was a super chat. I forget who was it, but I was called Sex Paid Girl, and I was like,
Sex Paid Girl, that's it.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
It was a parody account of Fear the Beardo, and it's like Fear the Retardo or something like that.
Oh, yeah. It was actually from him, so.
Hey, let's get the soups, guys. Let's get the soups. Lots of stuff to go over. Dude, I can do an entire stream on that book.
Well, I assume it's going to come up during FNT, right? Like,
yeah. I'll bring. I have my notes on. I didn't take a lot of notes out of it. The things that just stuck out the most were Bob Iger educating himself on Marvel with a coffee table book, and Kevin Feige, before each movie or before each thing, would go and get a bunch of trades, and then his people would say he became an instant expert. And I'm like, well, I mean, that's possible, but you'd have to read a lot. And you want to call yourself an expert in Marvel, which I wouldn't even fucking do. You read, I say X-Men, Uncanny X-Men 1 to 600. The reason I say 600 because that's essentially where Marvel went to shit, is when everybody, because they changed the numbering systems, but right around when Spider-Man hit 600, turned to shit. Little before that with One More Day. Fantastic Four, they stopped publication. That is a true story because they didn't want to help promote the Fox movie. So based on movie rights, they stopped the comic book that started Marvel.
So dumb.
That was Perlmutter's decision, which is fucking retarded. So, yeah, a lot of that stuff we can talk about. Ryan, but a lot of stuff we knew. I mean, this is all stuff you knew, Chris. Like us hardcore fans, we knew most of this shit. We're just getting a little context around it. Ryan for 50 British pounds. Proper money, Ryan. 50. Chris Gore. If the studios had given Lynch free reign with Dune, would it have surpassed Villeneuve's? I know how to say his name. Villeneuve's version.
I don't think so, and not due to David Lynch so much, but more due to where the technology was. I mean, they were doing stuff with blue screen at the time, and blue screen, sometimes if it was badly done and not color timed correctly, you could see a blue line. You see this in old films like Flash Gordon with Sam Jones. You see that cheesy blue line. They shot it in Mexico. I mean, the sets are spectacular, the wardrobe, the casting. I love the music. He tried to be as faithful to the book as he could. He added some new ideas and deleted some ideas that I think were really critical. But there is a 4K version called the Spice Diver cut that is on that combines footage from the TV version that where David Lynch just threw on the name. I want nothing to do with this. Just call me Alan Smithy, which is, of course, the name everyone knows that directors use when they want to take their name off a movie. They use the name Alan Smithy. So someone took all of that and then combined it into a 3-hour version called the Spice Diver cut that's 4K. And that was what Lynch was trying to make, but still in a way, the last half of the movie gets very montagey, kind of like Captain America, the first Avenger, where it's like the last half of the story. It's like, and stuff happened. And then they go so quick. Like those are really important things. What I'm excited about with Denis Villeneuve is we're going to get the 3-hour war, the war of, this uprising of the Fremen led by Paul Atreides against the Harkonnens and eventually the Emperor. We're going to get that. It's a war film, or at least as Denis has described. I know Danica was on a couple weeks ago, and she and I agreed like Zendaya's sort of the weak link because the character of Chani is very important in the book, but she has her place, right? Like they're really like women are women in Dune. Let's just say that. And I hope they don't. There's strong women, but strong women in the sense of like traditional classic characters, not girl boss,
not
modern.
girl bosses.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like they know they're,
We'll see. There's a change coming that we know about. That even the creator was like, "We'll see how the people react to it."
Like,
yeah.
So
one of the creators told us about.
I'm always an optimist. Look, I'm
still looking forward to it. I'm still looking forward to it.
Oh, I can't wait.
Dude, I want shit to be good.
Yes.
I want shit to be good. If something, I don't want to go on a tangent on this, but there are things that I thought would be total shit that I'm like, I like them. I thought One Piece, I thought I would be out in the first 15 minutes, like Cowboy Bebop. I'm like, I thought I'll watch this for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, see what happens. And I loved it. Same with House of the Dragon. But it's pretty, when you watch enough stuff and you read enough comic books and you have enough knowledge about this stuff, it's pretty easy to figure out like what's going to be bad. So it's not wanting it to be bad. It's like, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a piece of shit. I'm pretty sure the Marvels is going to be a piece of shit. I could be wrong, but
I think everything we know
fairly sure. Yeah.
It indicates that it's going to be a flop and the studio doesn't have confidence. Whereas, by the way, just to contrast it. So I have not received an invitation to see the Marvels yet. I should have by this point. My guess is they'll screen it the week of release.
Yep.
Having said that, I have already received an invitation to see on November 1st for a movie that opens November 17th, the new Hunger Games with Rachel Zegler. I've already got I'm seeing it November 1st. Okay. What does that tell you? The studio, which is Lionsgate, has much more confidence in that film, and Disney is trying to hold off on everything they possibly can.
Dude, Rachel Zegler not being on the red carpet and out promotion is only helping that movie, which is still tracking pretty poorly, by the way.
Yeah, blessing in disguise. But I mean, look, you know what? I didn't mind the Jennifer Lawrence movies. I thought they were fine. I think it's a ripoff of better stuff, but whatever.
It is. It's just a studio cash grab. Lover of Green, speaking of cash grabs, for $50. Hail, Gary. Your latest roast on Hollywood was glorious. Thank you very much. Quarterblack did a spectacular job. And I recorded it in a hotel room. Son of a bitch. Will you ever interview the members of the Film Actors Guild? I asked them if they regret going after fans. It's 1 in a million chance, but it'd be hilarious. Keep up the Lord's work. Thank you very much. And yeah. Personally, I think people like Chris and others are better suited for interviewing actors. But I would happily talk to J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay anytime, any place. But I'd have to be free to ask whatever question I was allowed to ask. And the first question I'd ask anybody associated with Amazon or Marvel Comics who was still working there and who was behind a lot of this stuff, who I suspect is behind a lot, would be that question. I think it's a good strategy to to attack potential fans and continually. You don't have to like a president, okay? Nobody's asking you to like a president. I don't like presidents for the most part, okay?
I don't like politicians.
Yeah, I don't like politicians. But you know what? If somebody likes, it doesn't matter. Trump became such a red line in Hollywood, it ruined Hollywood because when the actors, feel free to talk about the policies, whatever, but when you get into Trumpians and the MAGA crowd and you start demonizing them, you know what? Whether it was your intention or not, maybe in Mark Hamill's head, he's thinking of this small group of people, but you know what? That's not how people perceive it. They perceive the fact that, oh, you just think I'm like subhuman now because I voted for Trump. Fuck you. And most people aren't even going to say fuck you. They're just going to fuck off very quietly and never support your shit again. You're in the business of selling stuff. Doesn't mean you can't have your opinion. Be a little more eloquent about it, I'd say. Go after policy. Go after policy. Don't go after people. So your potential, your whether it was intended or not, you alienate fans. And I'm putting it nicely. That most of your intention is the adult pretenders in Hollywood don't give a fuck. They think, oh, Trump supporters aren't my fans. They don't buy anything. They're not, a lot of people believe that Trump supporters, Republicans, don't go to Hollywood movies, don't buy comic books, don't buy books. A lot of them fucking believe that, so they don't think they're losing anything. They're that dumb. They're that fucking dumb. So yeah, I would definitely bring that question up if I was ever to talk to an adult pretender or Jessica Gao or somebody like that, but they never fucking talk to me.
I just think that the bulk of the movie-going public, it's the audience is shrinking. If you go by the numbers in terms of don't count money because that changes with inflation. You got to count admissions, and the statistics are fewer and fewer people are going to
buying
the
movies, and the prices. Same with comic books. We increased the prices. We gave you variant covers. Look, the money's still there. It's a trick. And the thing is, it's a trick you're playing on yourself. It's a trick the industry is playing on itself, and you're starting to believe your own lies. Box office results without adjusted inflation are all bullshit. They're all fucking bullshit.
All BS. I mean, it's especially when you look, basically what Hollywood is competing with right now are video games and the internet.
And
I hate to say, YouTube, TikTok, X, social media, whatever you want to say.
Beating Hollywood's ass right now.
Beating Hollywood's ass. And the other thing is, I think the biggest mistake was, I mean, you pointed it out often, but you notice it because I've been watching movies a long time and I've never missed the Oscars from when I was a little kid. Hollywood used to champion working people, blue collar people,
and they have no idea who they are.
Regular working people. I mean, I don't know do you remember the Clint Eastwood series of monkey movies? We did an article on monkey movies back when Film Threat was a printed magazine.
Yeah.
Like that was a genre. Like Every Which Way But Loose, and
Every Which Way But Loose is a great movie.
He's a trucker. He's a guy who's a trucker, working class dude. Remember, probably one of the great comedies of all time, directed by Robert Zemeckis, Used Cars, which holds up to today. I saw it recently. Great film. And it's all about what's great is the corrupt politics. He's just buying a congressional seat with a boatload of cash. It's hilarious.
How would you have liked a Robert Zemeckis Doctor Strange movie?
I don't know.
That was
enough now. Was that one of the things they?
That was one of the things they had, and they lost.
Oh my God! I mean, I don't know. After Polar Express, I'm not a.
Going back to the book real quick. Remember, they made the bad guys in She-Hulk us. You, the villain, Marvel, their own comic book readers. Yeah. I would say that was a biblically retarded move, if that's even a term. I just made it a term. It's fucking such a fucking disaster. And you don't come back from that. Why do you think there's been diminishing returns? Why do you think Guardians of the Galaxy, which should have been a volume 3, which should have been $1 billion movie in today's terms, wasn't? Because it had a shitty opening weekend based on everything that had come out before. That affected it greatly. Buford T. Justice for $49.99. Gary, you keep saying Marvel knows what they messed up. What does that mean? Are they admitting they're woke, or are they just saying they messed up hiring untalented people that results in bad writing? I don't think they're abandoning the woke path. No, and I hope I'm not giving that impression. That is a giant blind spot for all of Hollywood and the access media. I've made multiple videos on it. They will never, ever, ever admit that they prioritized identity politics in the message over good storytelling, and that is the foundation in sand that this whole fucking industry is built in and falling apart now. They'll never admit it. The closest person who came to admitting it was Noah Hawley in my last video. If you go find the article or hear what I read, he said, I'm paraphrasing what he said, and I'll just break it down to simplest terms. People are tired of seeing the world of today reflected on them in entertainment. That's what he said. And Noah Hawley is not like this, not a MAGA supporter. He made Fargo and Legion. Legion was great for the first 2 seasons. Then it fell into the fucking woke bullshit at the end and ruined the whole fucking series. Fargo, good couple of seasons there. Good couple of seasons of television. He's a real creative talent. Like the guy, like if he does something, it could be good. Okay. But he was the only one who came close to admitting it, and the 3 other fucking idiots said the same old shit. So, Buford T. Justice, Marvel recognizes that they're fucking up because their bottom line is being affected. But unfortunately, along with all of Hollywood, they've learned nothing. Absolutely nothing. They will continue with the woke shit until the money tells them that they need to change directions, but they don't want to. They started ignoring numbers a long time ago. Like I said, they're believing their own bullshit because of this influence they need. But the problem is you need to be relevant to have influence. And you can't have one without the other. And now they're losing their relevance and they're going, oh shit, we better make escapism. But I would love for them to go, maybe we shouldn't have been so divisive. Maybe we shouldn't have gone after fans. No, none of them are doing that. All the fuck ups are other things. They're just missing that giant blind spot, and will continue to do so. Some recognize it, but they cannot say anything. Chris knows this. Chris and I had dinner with somebody who knows this. I've talked to people on the floor of Comic-Con who knows this. I've talked in video chat with directors who know this, and their hands are tied. They're like, we'll never work in this town again if we say it. I'd love for there to be a time where they can say whatever the fuck they want and they can still get work. That'd be nice.
It is sort of, sad to see that there's so many people. This is why I get like privately, and I know you do too, Gary, you get messaged by people that like, I like what you're doing. Just please keep doing it. But I can't say anything.
I can't follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, but good thumbs up. Yeah. Like I get that for a lot of the film courage videos that I've done. Like,
yep.
Where I just said, really, to me, it was just common sense, real obvious stuff. Like I didn't think anything I said was radical at all, but it's just obvious. It's
really common sense, like normal stuff. And now you're a white supremacist. Welcome to the club. William 101 has gifted 20 Nerdrotic memberships for $100. William, thank you. But I mean, those arguments aren't working anymore. They're dated, they're old, they're uneducated. They're, like coming out and saying, if you didn't like Captain Marvel, it's just because you hated women. It's such a fucking bullshit argument. When I bought those fucking Miss Marvel comics off the fucking shelf, you dumb bitch. And I'm talking to the writer of the book. Do a little research and find the nuance in the argument. You might not agree with it, but if you do just the slightest bit of digging, you would understand it's what they did to the character. And as I've said a million times, one of the worst crimes in the MCU is in that movie, but it's not Captain Marvel. It's Marvel. It's Annette Bening playing Marvel, which was purely an intersectionally based decision. It made no fucking sense at all. And you took a classic Marvel character that you could have done a lot with and made it a Annette Bening. Because women. But it would have been a better story if it was the male Marvel. A better story. Superfly1234 for $20. Chris is looking like Mac's mom from It's Always Sunny. Love this show. Thanks for getting me through the week. Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for supporting us. We should be thanking you. We are thanking you. This is tons of fun. Hey, Chris, how's your camera doing? You look, you don't look as red today. You
know what? I got the camera. I'm just like, F it. I ordered cables from Amazon. The cables in. I'm just going to Best Buy. I got a new camera.
Okay, you got a new one. Just white balance.
This is not the camera. This is the same camera that X-Ray Girl.
White balance is difficult when you're in a room with a bunch of shit. Trust me, I know.
Yeah, like,
it's very difficult.
I think it's funny that I look more white than the white guy.
I know.
I look orange.
You're a white girl living with a white girl.
Anyways,
sorry, some old X there.
Best Buy tonight to get the right cable. Hopefully, I'll have a.
She's a white girl. Remember X? Remember the band X?
Oh yeah,
Exene Cervenka, fucking great band. Billy Zoom on guitar. Darius White for $20. Hail Gary and Chris. I'll never understand Marvel's propensity to ruin even diverse IPs, e.g. Shang-Chi, the Master of Kung Fu. Is Bruce Lee as James Bond? Nope. Black Panther. Let's not recast and replace with a female stick figure. Yeah, Chadwick Boseman was their friend. And I completely understand that, like, the friend died. He kept it secret. By the way, he was diagnosed, like, during the first one.
Ugh. That's heartbreaking.
So, but he thought he was going to beat it, right? I understand that. But these characters are bigger than any actor. I said this when Heath Ledger died, and people are like, nobody can ever be the Joker again. I'm like, bullshit. Bullshit. It's sad that they died, but these characters need to continue. There's a lot of actors out there they could have recast T'Challa as, and it would have been fine. It would have been fine. You show Chadwick Boseman. They showed him plenty of respect. They exploited his death for a sequel instead of maybe just showing a nice little tribute, and that was exploitation. It was actually exploitation in the marketing. It was totally exploitive. And then they bait and switched you, and that movie has no fucking narrative. That movie has no main character. It's called Black Panther. The female Black Panther shows up at the end. You bring in Namor, not Namor, Namor, who is a badass character. Not everybody's favorite, but I fucking love him because he's such an a-hole. But he's like, he's a righteous a-hole. And that's such an interesting thing because he has been from like day one. And you could have done so much, but they wanted to fall into identity politics. Now, dude, I've always seen Namor as kind of Asian. That's the way
He looks like Spock. Really, it's Spock, and he had the same hair.
I would say more Asian than Latino.
And he was very regal. My impression of Namor really came from the cartoons, those 60s cartoons where they would basically animate the art in it was a very limited animation style. But they were like
a motion comic, yeah.
Yeah, and it was great. The Namor was, every day of the week was a different hero. Do you remember, Gary?
Oh God, yes. I remember when they were, dude, that whole set was supposed to go on sale for DVD 20 years ago. I remember I pre-ordered it. It was ready to go and they canceled it. And now I just got to get the bootlegs. And I still don't know why they haven't, they did the Spider-Man series in DVD, the 60s one. But I still don't understand why Marvel hasn't gotten the rights to those, packaged them up, put them on Blu-ray. You don't need to make them 4K and sell them. Yeah. I'd buy that shit.
Oh my God.
Well, I got it all on fucking bootleg now, so I don't need it. But you know what was a good cartoon from the 90s? And everybody talks about X-Men. Everybody talks about Spider-Man. Those are great cartoons. Batman, Silver Surfer. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Silver Surfer had a great cartoon. I like the Fantastic Four cartoon too. And the Iron Man one. The Iron Man movie borrowed a lot from the Iron Man cartoon.
So I watched this Fantastic Four cartoon from the 60s with the Human Torch, not freaking Herbie the Robot.
I know. I watched the Herbie one.
That was bad. It was bad, but I loved the Human Torch. They had Human Torch in the 60s. I remember watching that as a kid, and then there's a comic book of these people. I was like little. That
one voodoo guy for $20 says, "Hail to the Fellowship." Hail to the Fellowship, by the way. I think it could be cool to collaborate with you on some key art for the next con, panel, or meetup. Mrs. Nerdrotic emailed me back, so I hope you had a chance to check out the art I sent. The one voodoo guy.
We're going to be at LA Comic-Con, Gary. I think you announced the panels that we're doing at LA Comic-Con. I think you're going to be on at least 2 of those panels.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so what were the panels again, Chris?
Oh, I love these titles.
Yeah, why 99% of movies today are garbage. I'm doing an indie filmmaker survival guide panel, which is going to be a panel with a bunch of filmmakers just talking about how to raise money and other stuff. Then we're doing a panel. I have to give you came up with the title of this. I sort of wrote this description, and you're like, here's a better title: The Death of the Modern Franchise.
Ooh.
That's on Saturday at 1:30 in room 308 AB.
So we will be there. I'm trying to talk other people to go, and they're waffling on me.
Whatever. I got enough people. It'll be like the same panel we did. I've got other people to be on the panel.
Okay.
So we're good. And
good. All
Comic
right.
Book Girl, Danica, Comic Book Girl 19. She's going to join us.
She's going to join us. Yes. Doing a panel with Comic Book Girl 19. That's surreal, dude.
Awesome.
It's surreal. I'm talking to you. And all of this is surreal.
I
Real
love it.
quick. This came in today. I should have mentioned this earlier. A New Kind of War, which is a prequel to Rambo. It's a prequel to First Blood.
Wow.
To First Blood.
Again, another film that features a sympathetic blue collar worker down on his luck. Hollywood doesn't even know how to write that person, because the people that are in the writers' rooms and doing these things have no life experience and haven't worked like actual real jobs. They complain about any real job.
This comic is written by one William Jordan. You may have heard of him.
Okay.
Critical Drinker.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've heard of that guy.
Yep. Art by Kenneth Law. It's like a watercolor 60s pop artist style that's really effing cool, by the way. And it's about Sam Troutman. So check it out. I got this cool little poster with it. By the way, it's Splato Comics. That's your boy Zach from Diversity in Comics. Still need to change your channel name back to that, dude. And I got a poster. It's fucking beautiful.
Sweet. Wow. Congrats to Will. That's awesome.
Yep. So
He's got so many projects.
A lot of people have gotten them already. I know they shipped the domestic ones out. Yeah. So check it out. There's more to come. Chuck Dixon's doing a book. There's a bunch of Rambo. And yes, this is like officially licensed. It's presented by Sylvester Stallone, based on the character created by David Morrell.
Love it. That's awesome.
Hail the Drinker. By the way, I'm gonna be on Open Bar tomorrow.
Ooh.
Gonna be on. I forgot to tell you that, X-Ray Girl. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I'm gonna be on Open Bar tomorrow.
There's an upcoming documentary coming out on Netflix about Sylvester Stallone.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch it. It looks great. It looks great. I love Sly. Freaking love Sly. I want Tulsa King season 2 now. I'm going to rewatch that pretty soon. Damn, that was a good show. Luke Smart for 20 Canadian pesos says the box office is dead in Canada. Theaters are already shutting down. Inflation, rising cost of living. People can't afford a ticket, even if the content was good. You're right. They just knocked down a movie. Like Texas is booming, right? Texas is absolutely booming. Everywhere you go, buildings are being built. They're widening the freeways, which they really need to do around here. Like it's jumping. They're redoing the entire power grid. It's not taking them 20 years for California roasting Texas on the power grid. How's your fucking bullet train going, California? That $40 billion bullet train.
Gavin Newsom has no room to talk.
Yeah, he's a fucking idiot.
All the sort of list of failures under his leadership, just like he's just a tool.
He's a tool.
He's just a tool. I want to know who's pulling the strings.
So yeah, we're doing fine over here in Texas. But yeah, they knocked down a movie theater right across the street from my kid's school. Yeah, they're They're screwed. Digby Strawbridge for 10 British pounds. Afternoon, Gary, X-Ray Girl, and Chris. Keep up the good work. Will you be reviewing the Doctor Who 60th anniversary story? Yes. All 3 of them. Yeah, I'll cover all of that. I've been waiting. But because, like, really, what's there to say? They ruined the fucking franchise. It is number 1 on my murdered franchises. And they were so desperate, they needed to get RTD back, David Tennant, and give up control. The BBC gave up control of Doctor Who. It is now controlled, this current iteration, as they're in contract, by Bad Wolf Entertainment, and it's being distributed by Disney. So, yeah, they killed the fucking franchise. Here's what I will ask RTD. I've been asking for 2 years. Who was the first Doctor? Who is the first Doctor? The only answer to that question is William Hartnell. It's not some little girl who very peacefully fell off a cliff and regenerated in a 5-minute montage. Rewriting the complete history of Doctor Who was fucking shameful. But I don't think he's going to do it. And if you don't do it, it's a deal breaker. It's a deal breaker. But I will be covering it. And I like David Tennant. Love Catherine Tate. That looks, and her son. Her son that's in the movie named Rose. The Morlock for $4.99. Which upcoming sequel will set the record for the biggest earnings drop from original? Chris, will you be making the Milwaukee meetup? So he's talking about from $1 billion movie to like complete flop. Is it Aquaman or is it Captain Marvel? I think
Captain Marvel, without question. I think Aquaman. Here's why I think Aquaman could do well. It's because it's the one movie that during the holidays, the entire family can go, fine, we'll just go see Aquaman 2. And what I mean is that you see people over the holidays, you got like a very, in terms of ages and types, it's like, fine, everyone, we know Aquaman, everyone likes Jason Momoa, fine, we're going to go see that one. I think Marvel's is just going to have a tougher time. I think that Aquaman 2, in spite of quality, I think we know both films are going to be less than. I think that will actually make more money.
One will be a box office flop. One will be a box office plop.
Oh, I saw you. Obviously, I watch all your videos, but when
thanks,
you say
buddy.
Plop, I love that. Love it.
I'm gonna just drive that joke home until it's just not funny anymore. Not? It's still funny to me. Latino Slant for $2 says, "Oh, what's up, Paulie? Damn, love that shirt, Gore. Sup, vato? What? You don't say hi to me? What am I, chopped liver? What am I, fish tacos to you, Latino Slant?" I actually like fish tacos. The only fish I like is fish tacos. Fish tacos are pretty good. Remember when Rubio's started out? It was the one San Diego-based thing, and they had a sticker that everybody put on their car that said, "I love fish tacos." You know what fish taco is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why In-N-Out. Remember In-N-Out? They cut out the sticker so it would say In-N-Out Urge instead of In-N-Out Burger. You don't remember this?
Oh, I don't remember.
Dude, every car in Southern California, people would make pilgrimages to fucking In-N-Out, like from San Diego, so they can get an In-N-Out sticker so they can cut it out to say In-N-Out Urge.
That's good.
Little known facts from the 80s, folks.
I love that.
Imperiator, 93 for $10. Hail, all especially X-Ray Girl. Simp. Do you guys have any faith in Noah Hawley's Alien series? I'm hoping it's good, but I'm not too hopeful for it. It has a chance to be okay if he is free to create or if he hasn't, drank the woke Kool-Aid. Legion Season 1, Noah Hawley could make a good Alien series. Legion Season 3, Noah Hawley would make a shitty Alien series. We'll have to see if it comes out. Fear to Tardo for $2. Hi, Reggie, Frank Gore, and Sex Paid Girl. Lock it in. Yay. Yay. I like apples. Clooney bought the rights to Buck Rogers in 2021. Have any of you heard any updates? Do you think it would work best as a series or a film? Side note, I started liking boobs because of Princess Ardala. Nostralaku for $10. I think it would be better as a series. I do. not made today by a. If you made it Buck Rogers, I would even make it a fucking period piece. Like you take Buck Rogers out of the 30s or something like that. Buck Rogers is one of my favorite stories. Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon are two of my favorite stories. And I love the show with Gil Gerard. Fucking loved it.
I thought it was great, man. That chick was so hot.
Everybody was so fucking hot in that series.
Yeah, no, it was you know, when women could be sexy in movies. I saw some weird thing from there saying that Gen Z doesn't like sex in films, but wants to see more close friendships between characters.
No, they think everybody's gay. Make up your minds, Gen Z. You don't want to see sex, but you want to make everybody gay.
So, yeah,
fuck.
I don't know.
Do drugs like normal kids, okay?
Yeah.
Stop cutting shit off. Do drugs like normal kids, and then get ready for rehab later. But at least some of you will have a chance. Digby Strawbridge for 10 British pounds. Afternoon from chilly London. Sorry to have missed you in the UK. Oh, man. Thanks for keeping me and Mrs. Strawbridge entertained through trying times. Thank you for supporting us. We'll be back. I will definitely be back in London. That was that meetup was fucking off the hook. It was crazy. It was.
Oh, wait, but, someone asked if I was going to be at the.
Milwaukee. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Where is Milwaukee? It's in the center of the
country. It's in Wisconsin, Chris.
West side of Lake Michigan. North of Chicago.
I didn't want to invite everybody to a meetup. No offense, Wisconsin, but it's November in Wisconsin. Say, hey guys, you want to come to this like really fucking cold place and hang out? You know,
there might be snow.
And
I would go. I would go just because I love. I don't know. I love the change of seasons, and California's.
You're welcome to come. You can
Chris,
come.
I'll pick you up from the airport on the way in if you want.
Yeah.
Send me details. I could be.
We're all staying in my brother-in-law's house, and it's big. It's a big house, so.
Let me know. I don't want to like force myself, but
no.
Yeah, I would be.
You're welcome to any meetup I go to, Chris.
All right. Well, send me details, X-Ray.
You're my bro, Chris.
All right. Thanks, I'll look into it. If the dates work out, I'll look into it.
Yeah, definitely. I know some other people are thinking about going. Jeremy from the Quartering will be there.
Oh, that's cool. I've never met him.
Yeah. And
I get to meet the real Jeremy.
And Tom from Midnight's Edge hopefully will be there, and you and I will be there. X-Ray Girl, Mrs. Nerdrotic will be there, and I know there's a couple of FNT people are trying. They're not sure yet, though. They're trying, and there might be more.
All right. Okay. I X-Ray Girl, could you slide into my DMs?
Wow.
You know what's funny? Our DMs consist of me sending him StreamYard links. That's it.
That's all it is. It's just StreamYard links. And I think I sent you a link to something on Temu once, but the least exciting DMs you'll ever see.
No way. Eric K for $5 says Nerdrotic more than an El Nino. They have for the first time ever a Cat 5 hurricane coming to Acapulco. Appeared out of nowhere from a tropical storm.
Love it. I got to check the weather now.
No, El Nino is for one, it's just bad when it rains in California. And it's not an exaggeration. The driving in California.
Oh, they're terrible.
It's terrible when it rains.
They suck.
But it's just like every 7 years it rains like hell in California, and they act like, and then there's a drought for 7 years, and then they say it's climate change, and the fires that burn every single fucking year there, they say it's climate change, and they just rely on people not paying attention.
Yes.
But you live there for a few decades, and you're like, oh, there's a definite pattern to the weather in California.
Yeah. The climate does change.
It changes every 7 years. There's a whole current change that affects all the weather. Crazy.
But it's not a catastrophe, and I think it's arrogant of man to think that we can have such a catastrophic change on the planet. We're kind of beholden to whatever it is on this little spinning globe.
In California, it's man's fault for all the flooding and shit because they haven't built up their infrastructure in years. They've wasted all of your fucking money on whatever the fuck the politicians are probably pocketing it. and they haven't fixed the dams, they haven't fixed the drains, they haven't fixed the infrastructure. Remember, $40 billion spent on a bullet train that goes nowhere. That was 15 years ago, 10 years ago.
I was so excited. I could have gotten on that train. You know, you go to Vegas, boom, you're there. It would have it was that, and they were going to connect.
I think Nevada could probably get one built to go to LA. But the minute it hits the border, then you have to deal with California bureaucracy and environmentalism and stuff because, God, you know, we wouldn't want to harm something in the middle of the fucking desert. But, yeah, how is there not a bullet train from San Francisco to LA? I mean, now you wouldn't need to. You'd just be transporting fentanyl zombies back and forth.
Have you ever been on I took the train once from London to Paris. It was incredible. It was like, I mean, and I was not in first class. I was just in regular. They give you a meal. It comes with wine. It's this is what a nerd I am. I watched a whole documentary on how they built that, where they just built these machines that could bore through.
Yeah, the tunnel. I went on it. I went on it just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So like that thing is, it's an achievement. We can't build stuff like that in the United States. We used to be able to do stuff. And I just saw, this is a weird thing to even bring up. I saw a really cool indie documentary called Holy Frit. I love it. It's about building the world's biggest stained glass window. It is the world's, and they built it in Pasadena, California. I think it's in Kansas at this church. It is the world's large, and like the years that went into just getting this thing made. And I don't know. I love, this is what a nerd. Did you used to watch a show? Sorry, Gary, you and I together being both ADD is a little much. So my apologies to the audience. Did you used to watch a show when you were a kid and it was on Saturday mornings and it was like how they made stuff?
Yeah.
Like, how do you make a tube of toothpaste? How do you make a hot dog? Yeah. What was that show called?
I can't remember.
How stuff
you
is
remember
made?
the show? I love that show. They'd show like machinery and factory.
Well, there was only like fucking 6 shows on. We watched them all.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You know, when there was like real animals and like live action, like, oh, cartoons are done. But those shows I found them fascinating. It's like how stuff is made. And yeah. So the stained glass window thing for this movie is one of the best docs I've seen this year. And no one's going to see it because it has it's not religious at all, but it has something. I mean, it's like you're building a giant, the world's biggest stained glass window ever built. Insane.
Deanio for £2 Grant Hancock is back on JRE. Yes, he recorded yesterday.
Is the episode up yet?
The episode might be up today. And that's homework for Forbidden Frontier for next week. You got to watch that. Albert.
Oh, you got my arm behind my back.
Retro for 2 Canadian pesos. Daniel Henney looks like Namor. Who's Daniel Henney? Hang on.
Google Images is our friend.
Yeah. Yes. He would have been a much fucking better Namor than
Daniel Henney.
Here, I'll show a picture of him. Like, tell me.
I got it.
Much better. Yes.
Oh my God, that's Namor.
That would have been a much better Namor. Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Could not agree more, Princess Fiona.
Image.
Yep.
Wow. Like 20 years on him.
We're gonna have to get the rest on a square up. Sorry, let me get Boog for 20 Mexican dollars. FNAF movie is out. Five Nights at Freddy. When's the review? I'll probably watch. I'm gonna watch Five Nights at Freddy. I'm gonna go see that.
It's out tomorrow. I'm seeing it tomorrow.
I'm gonna see it the weekend. My kid was so into that game. Cool. Darth Bob, Texas, on the Geloja level. You wanted me to say what's up to all of you. Just wanted to say what's up to all of you. You are all awesome. You're awesome, Darth Bob. Big Raj, thank you for the $1.99 Canadian super sticker. We appreciate you, brother. Always around here. And I'll get the rest on the square up, which will be tomorrow night. It'll be tomorrow night. I don't think I've got a video in the works. I might. Well, no, South Park's coming up. Hey, what time does that air? We got to find out what time does that air. Chad?
It's October 20. I don't know what time, but it says.
Does it just drop at midnight? Because I want to make sure everybody at FNT watches it beforehand. I just don't know if it comes out like at 9 p.m. Eastern or some shit like that.
I'm going to get up
early.
They
haven't said.
I'm getting up at 7 a.m. to watch it. I cannot wait. Cannot wait for that.
Yeah.
So I'll be watching it early Friday morning, if not in the evening.
I put in the FNT. We don't have a guest this week, right?
No, because
No,
we're in costume.
We're guestless this week.
Okay. By the way, Alan and I are wearing costumes on Friday. You have to tune in just for a minute to see the costumes that we picked. It is a couple's costume. Alan and I.
And do you know what costumes we picked, right, Chris? I told you.
I know a couple.
Okay.
You told me, but I will not read the word. Because, I can't wait. FNT, man.
Oh, it's going to be good.
That's why it's going to be guestless. We don't want to get anybody. We've had an idea to do this for a while. We're just going to let it rip.
Well,
Not that we don't do that already.
Maybe you let me pop on for a minute just to say hi as my.
I might get. Well, if
I come up for a minute.
Of course.
Of course.
Say hello.
You're always welcome.
You're always welcome, dude.
Right.
William Waylander is excited for Milwaukee. I am too. So we'll get the rest of these out of Square Up that I will do Thursday night. I will be on Open Bar with the Critical Drinker tomorrow. I believe it's 3 p.m. Central Time. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's...
I think it is, yeah.
3 p.m. Central Time. Got a video I released yesterday. Thanks to everybody who gave it a watch and thumbs up, and the comments have been flying up my phone right now, and they're great. You guys are fucking funny. You guys are so funny. You don't know how much you make me and Mrs. Nerdrotic just crack up reading chats and live streams. It's you are endless amusement, chat. I love you so much. And actually I got an idea. I'm probably going to do like a video to officially announce the book and what it's about. But I do believe, because I've been brainstorming for titles, and I'm like, you know what? Let's let the chat decide. Let's let the chat decide.
Ooh.
So once I tell you what the book's about, and you will get to decide the title, and whoever wins, you'll get the title. You'll get credit for the title. You'll get for coming up with the title in the book. So
in the book, okay.
Yeah,
wow,
you'll get a thank you.
That's way better than a no prize. I can tell you that.
So that's what we're gonna do. 4 chapters are written. I'm gonna review it, and I'm talking to some people tomorrow about it. But that's what we'll do. I don't know what the video will be, but I'll figure out something. Chris, what you got coming up?
It's our live stream that's every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, which is Hollywood on the Rocks. Alan and I are going to be looking at a bunch of videos, including basically a vision of what the Star Wars sequels may have been. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And we talk indie movies and whatever. I'm hoping Alan has seen Dix the musical. That was his assignment. And I'm sure maybe Ryan Kinnell should go see that.
Isn't that the one where Bounding into Comics said sinful? I forgot what their. Hang on.
Sinful.
No, they went full on Christian on their headline. It's great. Bounding into.
I mean, just the title in itself.
Dix musical.
I don't want to watch something like that.
The headline was.
So there you go. And anyone that's complaining that Film Threat will be late today, you know why I'm late. I gotta go. I gotta grab.
Well, you said like I have to go, and then you kept talking.
Like
I do that all the time.
I said I have to go like 20 minutes ago, but whatever.
Saturday Night Live actor Bowen Yang promotes blasphemous Dix the musical film, makes sickening claim that God and the devil are lovers. I fucking love Bounding.
Yeah, I hear the movie is.
I love him.
I mean, I really want to see what Alan thinks of it. That's why, because like I see the horror films, Alan generally sees the musicals, and I really cannot wait to hear what Alan thinks.
There needs to be a balance in the world, and whether you agree with Bounding or not, when they come out with headlines like Hollywood promotes sodomy.
I've heard
it's no different.
I don't want to see it. I have no interest.
Yeah. The shit we're getting in these, you know what? I hope they make a Muslim musical. They go after Christians, go after everybody else. Just be consistent. It's all we ever asked. Muhammad the musical. I dare them to do that. I absolutely double dog dare all the like hardcore lefties in Hollywood to make Muhammad the musical and see how that goes. Okay.
Well, yeah.
There you go. Have fun.
All right.
Cool. That's a great way to end it, isn't it?
Yeah. Cool.
Just There you go. All right. So, X-Ray Girl, what you got coming up?
I'm going to be playing Little Nightmares DLC and possibly Little Nightmares 2 after this. And then Chrissy Mayer is coming on Poor Choices, so 9 p.m. Eastern. Please check that out.
Well,
Also,
she's an expert. I'm just kidding, Chrissy.
And check out yesterday's interview with Shad. If you're interested, he was on Dadcast, and we had a great conversation about what brought him to his point in his life and the choices he made. And it's a beautiful story how he and his wife met. So
that's good. We love Shad, and he loves AI.
I was about to say, and we talked about AI.
what Shad should do for FNT is just dress in normal clothes. Because he's always dressed in that knight's outfit, right?
Yep.
Like he's ready with the sword. He should just dress with like a shirt and a tie and he should just dress normal. I think that would be fun.
I forgot what he's going to dress as. He told me. I know what Comics Division is. I know what Ryan is. I know what Az is. I know what I am. I know what you are, X-Ray Girl.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. I can't wait.
So excited.
It's going to be funny. At least I think it's going to be funny, okay? I was cracking up when I came up with the idea. I'm like, oh, this is a good idea. We need to do this.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's usually not a good idea. But everybody's been very enthusiastic and fun about it. So thanks, everyone. It was a really fun show today. Thanks to everyone who left a Super Chat donation. You helped keep the lights on. Remember, Super Chat Square up Thursday night. I'll try not to make it too late. And thank you to the Modrotics. As always, you always do a great job. We really appreciate you. We appreciate if you're just a lurker out there, not participating in anything, just giving us that view for a little while. We appreciate you as well. We'll see you next week with Chris Gore and X-Ray Girl. Have a good day.
May the force be with you.
Wait, how are you going to do that? Oh. There you go.
Oh, my God.